All right, everyone, this is Frederick L. Jones, founder and publisher of Saturday AM, and we are live with this year's March Art Madness Round 3. Today's video is all about reviewing the Round 3 matchups for this incredible art tournament that mirrors the NCAA March Madness for both men and women's basketball here in the United States. And this is where you get a chance to see so many amazing artists, either for the first time or finally getting their due, as they go mano a mano against other artists. 64 to be exact is what the tournament starts with, from around the world. And I mean, folks, literally from Mexico to Argentina to Australia, India, and so on. So we are so proud to have created and managed this amazing tournament. And tonight's is extremely special because this is the third round, what we call the Sweet 16 Apocalypse. It's actually the Sweet 17 because we've got 17 artists out of 64 left. And after tonight, we will only have 8. So that means more than 50% of the artists who are still left in this tournament, and they're fantastic, as you will soon see, are going to be relegated and eliminated from this tournament with only 8 left. Of course, as we get to the winner of the tournament, they will walk away with many prizes, including a brand new Apple iPad Pro, plus Apple Pencil, plus a fantastic piece of software called Comic Draw, and of course, some cash to hopefully inspire them to go forward and create, hopefully, the next great manga and or comic work around the world. So we are really excited about this tournament. We're really excited that so many people around the world have supported this event. Tonight's round is extremely special, and we're going to have a lot of discussion about these extraordinary pieces, both because of the theme, the nature of the event, and then, of course, some of the trickier parts of this round, which will be the fan votes and the bonus point structure that will affect it. Now, I do want to get a couple of things out of the way. Number one, we will not announce the winners tonight. I had indicated that earlier if you listened to our show yesterday. Unfortunately, like the previous episodes before this, we will announce our selections for individuals that we think should advance to the 4th round. But unfortunately, there was so much activity on the fan vote that we were unable to calculate all of those things. And I will discuss that a little further in tonight's show. Second of all, of course, we have some amazing sponsors, and we want to talk about them real quickly. If you guys are not familiar, first of all, with Saturday AM, we, of course, are Saturday AM. We host this event. This is our event, and we stand for diverse shonen manga comics. We believe that manga needs to evolve, and we're working very hard with incredible creators from around the world to create the next generation of great manga content. This means we have creators literally from Nicaragua to Nigeria to New Zealand and everywhere in between. In fact, tonight we'll be joined by 3 amazing creators who are part of Saturday from them very shortly. But as you can see here, we have amazing artists from around the world. We have characters who are extraordinary. If you love Naruto, if you love Bleach, if you love One Piece, Fairy Tail, and so on, then I implore you to check out the comics that'll be a part of Saturday AM or are a part of Saturday AM, such as Clock Striker, Apple Black, Soul Beat, Bully Eater, Saigami, Hammer, Paradise Down, and Zero, King of Thieves, amongst many, many, many other titles. Again, you can look here at the amazing artwork and see that this is not a game. We're not a bunch of fanboys or fangirls. We are committed creators trying to bring new, diverse voices to the manga landscape. And our success in the last 4 years has pointed to how many of you care about seeing new types of ideas being brought into manga and anime. If you want to support us, you can do so by heading to our website, www.saturday-am.com, and feel free to look around. We've got free comics. We've got some amazing content. But more importantly, you can subscribe to our digital manga anthology, receive it on your iPhone, your iPad, or your desktop, or tablet devices of any operating system, and you'll be able to have a chance to appreciate some amazing creators every single issue, including great interviews and great games and great articles. And you can do all of that for just $5 a year, folks. That's 20 issues of amazing digital comics for just $5. As you scroll down here, you can actually see again some of the great content that we have. But here, if you see here the latest issue section, that is our latest issue, issue number 82. So, folks, we didn't just start this. We started this whole manga revolution back in 2013. We've had many people attempt to do what we're trying to do after the fact, but we've been consistent. We've been committed, and here we are at issue 82. Issue 83 is literally just hours away, featuring new comics from Jay Oden, Raymond Brown, and Tony Dawkins. So with that being said, of course, let's talk about some of these sponsors who are supporting this amazing event. If you are looking to create your own comic and you're not in this March Art Madness tournament, then we implore you to check out Comic Draw, which is an application that really answers all the needs you possibly have for being able to create your own comic. Folks, with this application available for your iPad, you can import scripts. If you've got a writer, or if you or yourself are writing your own comic scripts, you can import the script. It'll take what you bring it in terms of your document or your .text file, and it will then extrapolate all that data, put it into a proprietary format that you then can simply touch with your Apple Pencil and then generate speech bubbles, professional grade speech bubbles, without having to do that crappy handwriting speech bubbles and stuff. You can generate professional grade speech bubbles right there from just tapping the script that you imported. If you want to create your comics, you can do it from scratch by drawing, inking, coloring directly there in the app. And finally, you can package it all up and distribute it via a proprietary service they have called Comic Connect, or export it to services such as Saturday AM or other organizations that have digital comics and or web comics. Folks, you can't go wrong with Comic Draw. It's one of the most popular apps on the App Store for creating comics. It's from an award-winning developer who cares about helping new voices enter the comic and manga field. Our own White Manga, creator of Apple Black, has actually profiled this content in this application with 5-part video series you can find on his YouTube channel, White Manga TV. So if you get a chance, check out Plask. They're huge supporters of Saturday AM, and we are big fans of Comic Draw. Likewise, folks, if you're looking to just draw, you want to get some of your ideas out and put it on the paper, if you want to go the tactile route, you can't do much better than Illo sketchbooks. There are lots of sketchbooks out there, folks, that you can buy. A lot of them are very expensive. Obviously, you've got companies like Moleskine as well that you can purchase really expensive journals and so forth. But with Illo sketchbooks, this is an art sketchbook created by artists. Grippable cover, over 122 pages, over 100-pound stock paper. This can support any sort of inks and or color markers you want to put to it. And more importantly, folks, it is affordable. You can get a open tier, square-shaped Illo sketchbook. You can see the pictures here of what it looks like. And folks, you can get this volume here for just $16. And if you want to save even more money, put in the code Saturday AM and you can save 20% on top of that. You cannot go wrong with a hip, stylish, and durable art sketchbook like Illo Sketchbook. So check them out. You can find them at www.illosketchbook.com. Last but not least, folks, 21 Draw. If you're looking to get tips on how to create better comics, how to do better artwork, well, don't go any further than 21 Draw. These guys are amazing. You guys probably heard about them last year. They had an amazing Kickstarter. They did very, very well. But folks, what makes these guys so special is that they've got these beautiful hardbound books that feature artwork and draw and how to create great art from some of the world's best artists. We're talking Ariel Olivetti of Marvel Comics. We're talking the Chamba, Jeffrey Chamba himself from Australia, who does a lot of Udon comics and Street Fighter comics and little great stuff on Instagram. And last but not least, we're talking about Steve Rude, who is one of the absolute most famous artists, big artist back in the 80s and 90s. Steve Rude, Steve the Dude Rude, is in this book. He's one of my personal favorite artists. And you've got not just those 3 artists, but you got over 100 top artists contributing to this art book tutorial series. So folks, you may have grown up reading things like, or trying to draw from things like How to Draw Manga, and those are great books to help out the entry-level artists. But if you're looking for artists who are in the trade today, recognizable, popular, superstar-level artists, you can't go wrong than 21 Draw. Check it out at their website, www.21-draw.com, and you will explore some of this amazing content yourself. And if you decide to buy it, feel free to check it out, and we'll be having some reviews about it soon as well. So again, folks, that's Comic Draw. Check out their application. You can go to their website and find it. That's PLASQ. Plask is the developer of the application. PLASQ.com/apps. youtube.com/comic draw, and you'll have a chance to check out this amazing application yourself. With that being said, folks, let's now talk about March Madness. This is the ultimate geek fan art tournament. We are so proud to be doing this for our third year. We've discovered some amazing creators from this, creators who've gone on to do some really big things. So, folks, we are so excited to have a chance to do our third one, to have these great supporters like we had in terms of sponsors, Plask and Illo Sketchbooks and 21 Draw. But, of course, it all comes down to the amazing artists. Artists from Australia, from Argentina, from India, from the United States, from China. Fantastic artists, folks. From Japan, fantastic artists. So, folks, if you want to have a chance to check this out, tonight we're going to be going through the last third of the group. 17 artists will then go down to just 8. That is tremendous. And so it's not going to be easy, but to help us, we're going to have 3 fantastic Saturday AM artists who will help us critique these artists and determine who we think should advance. And then we'll reveal the actual winners tomorrow on our website. So with that being said, first things first, this artist is completely new to Saturday AM, but he is extraordinarily talented, super popular, a professional comic artist in his own right, working for companies like Antarctic Press and Oni Press. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the creator of Hammer, Jay Oden. Jay, say a few words for folks.
What's going on, guys? I've been drawing since I was 6. I love drawing. It's awesome. I'm super happy that I'm actually at Saturday AM right now. And hopefully I can give you guys some awesome advice. So let's do it, I guess. Yeah.
So, guys, that's Jay Oden. Jay is, you're going to have a chance to meet Jay in person if you will be coming to Wizard World Portland next month. We'll be taking Jay and some other people to the convention, and we're so excited again to be working with Jay. Next up, we have Jamie Molina. You guys may know this young man from doing a lot of cool superhero art recently on Instagram and so forth, but he's also the creator of the really popular Paradise Down. Jamie is from New York, so give a shout out to Jamie. Jamie, say hello, everybody.
Hey, how's it going, everyone? Like Frederick said, I'm the creator of Paradise Down, and let's have some fun.
So, folks, you may have met Jamie. He was at our Wizard World show in Cleveland, and he was also at Anime NYC, the very first year of that last year. And again, Paradise Down is a really popular title. You may have even seen Jamie years ago back on Manga magazine, but we're so excited to have Jamie bringing his talent. He's grown by leaps and bounds with what he's doing. And if you want a really fun series, all of these guys are doing that. But Paradise Down is just a good classic kind of superhero slash American style manga fun. Last but not least, we have someone that we're really proud to be associated with. This is a creator from the other side of the world. Of course, we're all based here in America so far on this call tonight, but Jin is actually from Australia originally, now resides in China, and he's a very acclaimed creator. He's given some of the best advice we've ever seen, and best critiques we've ever seen in the last 2 March Madness live review shows. Jen is creator of a webcomic you guys have probably seen. If not, you should check it out. It's called High School Romance. But he's also the creator of a Saturday M title that we're really proud to produce called Zero King of Thieves. It was in our 74th issue last year, and it will be returning this summer. And with that, Jen, please say hello to your fans, because you've got fans who've watched you now. They know you more from this than they do Zero, but say hello.
Hello, everyone. Yes, back for round 3 of March Art Madness. This has been really fun to do, so I'm glad I'm back again. And this is going to be an emotional week because so much good fan art.
Yes, that is so true. So, folks, so again, just to bring you guys up to speed, March Art Madness is an art tournament unlike anything out there. And by that, of course, it's got the Saturday M DNA, so it's always going to be different because we always try to do things differently. But what makes it really different is the fact that we are having artists compete against each other. Our belief is really quite simple. If you're going to be a professional artist, and these 3 guys can tell you about this, but if you're going to be a professional artist, you will deal with challenges such as having to go up against other creators for that job. You will deal with deadlines. You will be tasked to draw things that are outside of your comfort zone. Most art competitions ignore that reality. The idea is simply to draw something, get it in, and then you have a chance to win a free prize of some sort. With this tournament, it is a gauntlet. You're going up against great talent every single week for 5 weeks. The themes of what you draw change every week. And you will be tasked most likely in those 5 weeks with drawing things that you are not comfortable with and that you have to research to find out more about. This is the nature of the beast for anyone who wants to be a professional comic artist. And that's why we give away some fantastic prizes. And that is why we get amazing artists who decide to do the competition yearly. So with that being said, you can see here at this piece of art that we previewed everything that was going to happen with this great piece here. It shows superhero movies and animated movies and just various pop culture characters. So far, we've had people draw things from TV shows to superhero movies to American comic books to Japanese manga and so on. Round 3 changed the game because we had 17 artists left. And we knew that we needed to, again, throw a little bit of a spanner into the work. So we did that by having them now join up with the NCAA March Madness, aka college basketball. And it coincided perfectly because they were tasked with drawing not only college basketball mascots, but drawing the mascots that they thought would actually win in their respective games over the weekend. If they won, then they would receive points for that. If they didn't win, then they would not receive any points. So in between having to get fan votes, in which case many of you guys came out and voted. In fact, it was a tremendous amount of votes cast. In between having to research some of these schools, because remember, some of these are international artists or artists from other countries that are not familiar with college basketball, so they did not know who some of these schools were and or who some of their mascots were. Aside from doing all those things, they now have the ultimate test, which is having us judge their work. And so with that being said, we are now going to scroll down and we are going to hit the March Art Madness Round 3 matchup. Now, let me say one quick thing before we get started. In the past, you guys have commented on what we're doing, and we've not really responded because we didn't know that you were doing so. This time, we are going to try. I can't promise that we will be able to, but we're going to certainly try to be in a position to catch up. So whoops, there we go. There you go, right there. So that's me literally trying to, wow. So there we go, folks. And folks, that's how you know I keep it real, that I'm sitting here talking to you as I am trying to pull up the screen here. But you know what? It's not working anyways because I don't see any comments. Oh, here we go. There's chats. Okay, there we go. There are the chats. Got it. All right. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Everybody ready? Jay, you ready?
We're good to go.
All right. Jay,
yeah, I'm good. Let's do it.
All right. Then let's get going then. Okay. Round 3 matchups, folks. This is NCAA mascots. All right. First up, we have Delvon Johnson. Now, Delvon Johnson started with some really extraordinary color on what he was able to create. His first piece was a God of War piece that I still just remember as being really, really strong. And then the second week, he had the Incredibles with Jack sitting on top of Mr. Incredible firing the laser beams. I think that we have underestimated how strong he is at color because this piece certainly pops. But let's start off first with, since you're new to this, let's start with you, Jay. What do you think? What did you make of this piece?
I actually liked it. The more I looked at it, the better it actually got. But initially, it was actually really difficult to see that his left shoulder was faced our way. It looks more like his chest was actually right there. So, I mean, I would say probably fix that. But as the more I looked into it, the more I looked at it, the better it got. I didn't notice the face in the background, the tiger at first. And when I finally realized it, I was like, oh, wow, this is actually really cool. So it was a great job overall. I liked it a lot.
All right. That's great comments. Jamie, Molina, first time in. What do you think?
I like the composition, but I hate the lighting. You see where the shadow's at? It's facing the flame, which doesn't make sense. It has a very strong composition, but I think he went too heavy on the color dodge, on the color burn, and the lighting itself is working against it.
Interesting. Okay. All right. And so, Jim, what did you think?
So yeah, obviously this picture has a lot of anatomy problems, but I think what you were saying is that the color is very striking, and I disagree with Jamie. I think the color is really good, even though sometimes it doesn't make sense. It's really striking, and I think what's really cool about this picture is that it looked like the color is striking when it's blown up big, but when you see it as a tiny thumbnail, it still catches your eye. Like your eye just like jumps straight to it. So you know, in that sense, I think it's very strong.
Yeah, listen, I see everybody's points in this. This piece stuck out to me. Now, again, this is one of the things we talk about within March Madness is that one of the things, again, that makes this competition so amazing is that not only are you tasked with doing all the things we just talked about, you're also tasked with having to entertain. I think so often, as you three of you know well, I have this issue with fanboyism. I fundamentally can't stand it because it's not the real world. And so I think when you got creators who are trying, who are thinking to themselves, you know what, yeah, let me try to present something that is going to appeal to the people who might like this. I'm not a fan of Kansas. They won tonight. They beat Duke, which is my college's hated rival. So, but I do know the school. I know the school. I know the mascot, and this is a really kick-ass version of the mascot. So. You know, in fact, I'm not a fan of Clemson, but Clemson, that's the Clemson Tiger there. Kansas did, in fact, beat Clemson. So he was able to work in two characters. He worked it in a way that you know what's happening. It's crowd pleasing. Does it have issues in terms of anatomy and various things? Absolutely. But I think that this is a piece that, does the entertaining part well. And I think this is a really strong piece. In fact, I agree as well with Jen. I think the lighting here is it's got flaws. The whole piece has flaws. Delvon's pieces have had flaws throughout the entire tournament, by the way. But in this case, though, I think just the fact as well that that's like the scoreboard at the top and the lights are coming down on top of the two of them. And so the lighting is kind of makes sense in a weird way, even though it's still not completely accurate. I think, again, you can't take away from the entertainment factor of this piece. I think this is extremely entertaining. I like it a lot. Okay, so next up, we have Christopher Domingo, and he's got a lot of characters in this piece, a lot of mascots. Let's start off with Jen, since we finished with you. Let's start with you. What did you think of this piece?
I think this piece, I think it's very ambitious. Like the angle is a very hard, ridiculously hard angle to draw. And so I think the devil character, I think it's Duke, like his hand is drawn really, really, really well. But then some other characters' arms are a bit weird and wonky, and but I also think the color is a bit muted. I think if the coloring was a little bit brighter and a bit more fun, then this picture would really, really, really pop. But at the moment, I'm a little bit meh on it. I do like that Duke though.
All right, Jamie, what did you think? Jamie,
I agree with Jin. That's ambitious. I really do like that he didn't try and hide his flaws. He put out hands out there, which is some of the hardest things to draw. So I commend him on that. Even pros get that wrong from time to time, so don't beat yourself up on that. I wish he added more speed lines on the hands. I do like that he added it on the ground, but because he didn't add so many on the hands, it doesn't feel as impactful, or it doesn't carry the motion that I get he was trying to intend for and stuff. But I do like that he went for it, so there's got to be some points for that.
Okay, and Jay, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree with him. The perspective is obviously off, unfortunately. But I mean, I think that I really like the clutter. I really like the fact that he added so many characters. I like busy work, and when I look at this, it's just more to look at. So the longer I look at it, to me, it's you're actually accomplishing something because you're entertaining me. So I like that fact. But the perspective definitely needs some work for sure. The hands, I think he did a good job in terms of being ambitious, like Jamie and Jen said, but he definitely needs some work on that as well. But overall, I think it was an okay piece. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with everyone's comments. I think that I'm with Jen. I think in terms of the word choice, I think is absolutely is dead correct. This was ambitious. I think that's what this was ambitious. Now, Christopher Domingo, he's done this before. His very first image, if you guys remember the first week, and you guys, of course, watching this at home can scroll down. If you have a second tab open for March Madness, you can scroll down. You can see that he did. You can see the previous rounds. We keep them all live. infinite scroll page, and that's what makes the tournament so easy to check out for onlookers and people who follow along. But listen, you know, he had a perspective shot. If you guys remember the Game of Thrones image with Jon Snow with the sword coming down, you know, that was Christopher Domingo. He has demonstrated a real capacity to do some interesting dynamic perspectives. Sometimes they work. This is one. The idea is perfect. The idea is sound, and I think the Clemson mascot looks really damn good. I actually like the Clemson mascot quite a deal. I think the perspective is right. I think it works. I think that the fact he's got the tail looping around, I think is like nice little details. I think, though, again, to what Jen's point, I think this was ambitious. And this is one where I think he wanted to add a lot of character, try to get those bonus points in. This also represented a challenge because I remember seeing this, thinking to myself, putting all these characters in doesn't help you, right? Like, you've got to choose the characters who are actually going to win. If you look at this image, the only team that's still in there is Villanova. So all the other teams got beat. I mean, Duke won their first game, but then they got beat afterwards. So it does kind of suggest, it's like, so then what point was he expecting to make points-wise with this? This is one of those scenarios, again, of trying to flood, to get bonus points, trying to flood it with a lot of images and not putting a lot of thought into what you had. Could this image have been better if it was just the Georgia Bulldog, the Gonzaga Bulldog with Clemson, and he could have spent more time focusing on how to draw the Bulldog instead of that ridiculously long left arm that's being dunked on? Maybe if he had just gone maybe with the Duke Blue Devil in the background, could have been a better image, possibly. But trying to add all four in there, again, it's a level of ambition that doesn't quite work. But I do love the Clemson Tiger. I love the idea behind the piece, but it does have a lot of anatomy issues. Let's not also talk about the background. The background just looks like a bitmap, even though he's clearly drawn it. The perspective, again, doesn't work with that. I think Jamie mentioned speed lines, and God knows, like the floor looks like a speed line. It's not even really detailed to that degree. So interesting idea. Not quite sure that it worked all the way through. Next up, we have Gary Lytle with an image that, was so wrong, Gary. I'm so happy Kansas won. So happy Kansas won. Great idea, but boy, I'm happy you were wrong. So this is Duke Blue Devil mascot doing a kick straight in the crotch of the Kansas Jayhawk mascot. Gary Lytle, if you guys recall, Gary has always kind of had some interesting. Gary's got interesting style. His characters tend to have a bit of a rounded face and various things like that. His first one was a Shonen Jump sort of concept. Then he had a Scooby-Doo piece that merged with JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. I didn't think that piece was as strong. He's not. Gary's coloring is always a bit more muted, but this is a very striking piece. Let's start with you. Jamie. What did you think of this?
I actually really like this piece. There's a lot of action to it. I love the little subtle lines, like little shake lines around Kansas. The head's a little big on a Duke character, but like the page has so much, the line of action and then the speed and the energy with it is just so good that it's something you can kind of forgive. But overall, I like it.
All right, and Jay, what did you think?
I agree with Jamie. I think the action looks amazing. I really like his the Kansas face. It's hilarious, but like you can totally tell that like it hurts. I don't really watch. I didn't know that Kansas lost or won actually. So I mean that's I didn't know about that, but I do think that it's a pretty cool picture. I agree with Jamie also with him saying that the Blue Devil's head is too big. Also, his arm is kind of like too short. It looks kind of off in that way. The only thing that I would like to see for this particular artist, I would like to see him pull out more if he was going to do another image like this, or maybe change the camera angle. Do it so that way the perspective is either warped or you at least get to see the back of the Kansas mascot. I mean, I think that would probably make it better. But I think it's a pretty cool image.
That's cool. Yeah, that's actually really good points you made. Jim, what did you make of this?
This is definitely Gary's strongest piece in the tournament.
Yes, agreed.
Yes, it's the strongest by far, and it's just that impact on the bird. I forget. Sorry, I don't know any of these characters. Is just really cool. Like just like the shakiness at the back, like you can tell that the impact is awesome. Yeah, head's big, but it's kind of Gary's style at the moment. And I like the Blue Devils pose. I think that's really cool. I think I think he's taken like some photo reference from some actual martial artists. So, you know, kudos to that.
Yeah, I agree with everybody's comments here. Definitely, I'm with Jan 100%. This is by far Gary's best piece he's done. Again, the color, I'm not as into the color as much as in this regard, but that color works here. I mean, Gary's color work to me is not as striking as some other artists, but I do like the color work here. The head is too big. The arm, I didn't even notice the small arm, but Jay's right about the small arm. It is off. One thing none of you guys mentioned was the fact that he's got this impact happening on his back, but he's clearly kicking him in the stomach, so that wouldn't happen. The way the impact is shaking off the back of the character, but still, this is a really as I said a few minutes ago, this is an entertaining piece, and you know, again, that stands for quite a bit. Very entertaining piece. So yeah, all right, so good deal, Gary. Let's move now to Miss Kiara Reddy. Now, this young woman has been in previous tournaments. She has been in our pilot manga group. We know Kiara Reddy. We think that she is super talented. She's a young woman from South Africa. So we always love having creators from all over the world. So to see her back in the tournament, to see her really giving it her all this time, I think last year she kind of phoned it in a little bit, and that's why she got knocked out sooner, because she got the talent. She clearly has a talent. This year, she brought in some great stuff. Her first week, she had Red Dead Revolver. Really, I mean, still one of my favorite pieces in the tournament. The second week, she did something in the oh man, I'm drawing a blank on her second week. But the second week was a strong piece as well, a little different than the first week. Now she comes in with this piece. Again, this is not quite, you know, giving us a lot to chew on in terms of who's going to advance in the tournament for the NCAA basketball weekend. Of the schools that are here, 2 of them got knocked out, possibly 3 of them. No, yeah, 2 of them got knocked out. 2 got knocked out, and 3 lasted. So that part is actually pretty good. So yeah, interesting piece. Let's start with you, Jay. What did you make of this?
So I love this picture. This looks amazing. The colors are awesome. The animals look amazing. They're all distinct. They all have like their own distinct facial expressions. Like that one dog in the back is hilarious to me. This entire thing is just great. The only thing I would say that's bad about this picture is also probably a compliment, is that the front dog looks too perfect, as if maybe like she used like a mirror tool or something and like drew one side and then it like kind of drew itself in. But I mean, other than that, if it works for her, then I mean, it works for her because it still looks amazing. But other than that, I mean, I would hang this up on my wall if it was a poster. So
whoa, Kiara, you made a sale, Kiara.
Yeah, that was awesome. This is great.
All right, Jen, what do you make of this?
Yeah, I would watch this anime. It's very cool. I really like how she's adapted these characters. This is like a really awesome style. Like they're super hard and hardcore, but super fluffy and soft at the same time. Really like it. Kiara's artwork always makes me smile, and this is no exception. All
right, and Jamie, what did you make of this?
I loved it. I think it's probably one of the strongest compositions within this round. I think if you were to isolate the characters, you would be able to tell them alone just from their silhouettes, which is a very strong thing. So even though there's not a lot of action going on, I think she really knocked it out of the park in terms of really capturing the essence of the characters, not only in terms of, you know, how they look, but also like the emotions they were on their face. And I really like how the basketballs are like right down the line. It's very symmetrical. I like the balance of the composition. So I love it.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I didn't think about that. That's an extremely good point about the she's captured these. I totally agree with Jen. I mean, the style here is amazing. But Jamie's point about the fact that Kiara adapted these characters so well that from a silhouette perspective, you can still kind of make out who's who is really quite it's quite telling. That's an extremely good piece of criticism and or critique and really good. I think that really speaks well of her ability for people who may not realize how talented she is. By the way, her second week, and I implore you guys again, if you're following this at home, you'll scroll down, check out the second week. She did a Disney Princesses piece, which is the Red Dead piece is one of my favorites. The Disney Princesses piece is equally badass, and this piece is so awesome because it's so different from those first 2 pieces. I mean, those other 2 pieces were an interesting illustration exercise, this is a really interesting piece of work that Jay Oden's willing to pay her for. So there you go. All right. Next up, we have the monster, Bailey Boutel. This man is he's a beast, folks. He's a beast. He was in our tournament last year. He made it to the Final Four. He easily is expected to make the Final Four again, I think, unless he does something insane. Every round, he has gotten a ridiculous plurality of votes, both from the judges and from the fans. What strikes you with this piece is that, again, he kind of goes the route, which is not great, but he goes the route of putting a lot of characters in the piece. But I think we can say, you know, that despite the fact he put a lot of characters in the piece, a lot of which you didn't win, boy, he did do them justice, though. Let's start with you, Jamie. What did you make of this piece?
I mean, I'm pretty sure it speaks for itself. It's an incredibly strong piece. I like that even though he might have used some color dodge at the top, he didn't go so far where it ate his lines. There's a perfect balance in that regard. The color work is fantastic. Like, I love the little detail on the fur. It's a very strong and captivating image. Knock it out the park.
All right. Jay, what did you make of this?
So originally, when I first saw this, I actually didn't like it as much, but the longer I was looking at it, the longer I looked at it, it actually got better. The reason why I say that is because if you look at the picture on the left side, there's too much red, and it kind of like throws it off to me. I feel like if he moved that one mustached guy with that other bulldog, if they like switched, then I feel like the composition in terms of the color, like it would lead your eye from that orange basketball all the way down to that first dog in the red, and then it would go to the falcon's head, and then it would go to that dude's mustache, and there you go. You've gone throughout the entire picture, but it hasn't done that. So that's the reason why it threw me off at first. But I mean, you know, like I said, the longer I looked at it, the better it got. You know, all the detail is phenomenal. I love the way he shaded everything. I really think it's a strong piece, exactly like how everybody said, but that's my only criticism.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jay Oden, hater.
I'm not a hater.
Let's go to Jen. Jen, what'd you make of this?
I think we lost Jen.
Yeah, I think his thing went out, but I think he's trying to call in.
Yeah, he's on a VPN. China, folks, China. He's on a VPN, so I'm positive Jim will join us.
I'm back. I'm back.
All right. Okay, it's that VPN, baby.
Oh my God! I apologize, but I'll just quickly say Australia represent. Yeah, Bailey Boutel.
Oh yeah,
you're awesome, man. You're awesome.
So do you have anything negative to say? Because Jay just was like, I hate it.
No, I don't.
I didn't say that.
I do want to point in that this is like the first time Bailey Boutel has done like an actual background, and it's awesome. Ooh. Yeah. It's really awesome. Like, even though like the crowd, even though it's just like little specks, you definitely know that there's people looking. The wood panel floor looks incredible. What can't this man do?
I agree. I could not agree with you more. I'm gonna tell you when I saw the piece. So first of all, obviously I know all these characters, so it just immediately grabbed me. But the part that really grabbed me was that damn bulldog in the corner. Like, that's a damn good look. Like, I mean, like no one else. I mean, we just got done talking about Kiara already. No one else. They all brought personality to these images, but no one brought. I mean, like that bulldog. That's an interesting looking bulldog. And so I just thought, wow, that really is an amazing level of detail that he put into this piece. I totally agree with you about the background. Now, this was my point about the piece from Delvon Johnson at the beginning. Delvon Johnson, of course, gave us Kansas dunking on Clemson, and he had that lighting aspect where the lights are coming down from the scoreboard, and I wasn't accurate, but it was still those of us who know basketball still got the idea of it. This obviously you don't have to necessarily know basketball to still get the glare of the lights and the kind of mood that it provides. Fantastic image across the board. Guys, if you're looking for Bailey Boutel's work, scroll down. Bailey delivered to us the first week. And I said this the other day, the part that I think really speaks to Bailey's talent here is that each week Bailey went different. So if you look at his first week, that's a fairly traditional standard comic book image. Sorry. That's a fairly traditional comic book image. He has Justice League versus Avengers. The coloring on it's fairly standard. There's not any real extra thing being done to the coloring there. The second week, though, his coloring got very kind of watercolorish, you know, where he delivered to us Mac from Nintendo versus Ryu from Street Fighter. It reflected the art that you would see from the more modern Street Fighter take from Capcom. And then this piece is extremely detailed. The color work is a bit different. It's muted in certain ways. It's played a bit more naturalistic. This is, I mean, I'm with Jen. I mean, Jen and I tend to be on page with a lot, but this is, I agree with him as well on this piece. When you realize the efficiency that Bailey operates in and the diversity that he brings to the table in terms of the styles, it is a question of what can't he not do? Because right now he's doing just about everything. So this is pretty extraordinary piece here, and really, really strong. There's no one character in this piece that I think looks ridiculous. All these mascots look great. All right, so next up we have Charles Williams. I have to give a quick shout out to Charles, because with Charles I consistently give him too many R's. I think the first week I did it, I gave him 3 R's, and the second week is 2 R's, and this week is still 2 R's. So my apologies, Charles. Charles, first week did a really cool piece that was Samurai Champloo versus Afro Samurai. So Charles really has a good understanding of perspective. The second week he did a really handsome heroic trio piece. I think one of my favorite pieces in the tournament, which is the 1960s Hanna-Barbera. So Charles probably had to do a little bit of research for that, assuming he's not my age. So this piece is different. I mean, those two pieces were very different from each other. This piece is different. This is Florida State mascot, which is an Indian. He also drew the other mascot they have, which is a horse, versus the Purdue Boilermakers, which is sometimes represented by a guy with a hammer, other times by a train. So, and they're racing for the trophy for the NCAA March Madness, which is the basketball tournament. So this is an interesting piece. It's an actual story piece as opposed to what we've seen thus far. This is actually telling a story. What do you think, Jen?
Okay, well, were you saying what you were explaining that the train was actually a mascot? That puts things into perspective for me, which paints a different light. I think it's okay. I think the main thing that's detracting it from me is that it seems unfinished. And you can see that in between the trophy, he forgot to color the ground, right, and the stuff there. And so that's really distracting to me. His horse is amazing. That's an amazing, really well-drawn horse. Yeah, and so I like the horse and the Indian part. The train is a bit standard, and the coloring is a bit muted as well. So I don't know. I'm conflicted with this piece.
All right, Jamie, what'd you make?
I get what he was trying to go for. The problem is that the characters themselves don't seem to be interacting with the environment, if that makes sense. Like, we have a speeding train here, but nothing else is reacting to it. We don't see any rocks moving. There's not even the trophy itself in front of it's like even wiggling a bit. And I think it kind of just makes it seem like everything's floating, if that makes sense. That little white space, I think that might be glass. I'm not sure if the NCAA trophy has glass in it. If it's not, and that is unfinished, that's a really bad look. I like that he was trying to be ambitious with it, but sometimes, you might overreach and hurt yourself in the end.
Interesting. Yeah. I think it does have glass. That's not to say that's what he intended in terms of what looking like it's not painted, that he forgot to color in that area. I can't speak to that, but I do think it does have glass in it. So we'll give him the benefit of the doubt there. Jay, what do you make of this piece?
I at first thought, exactly like what Jamie was saying, kind of unfinished. Same thing with Jen. It just seems kind of amateurish, but I really liked the feeling that he was going for, because you can tell just by looking at the face of the horse that there's a sense of urgency, and they're trying to get that trophy before the train gets to it. And, I really like that. But I agree with Jamie when he said about the rocks. You don't see anything else in reacting to the vibrations of the train. I feel like if he would have added speed lines or rocks flying everywhere, maybe that would have been a little bit better. But another thing that probably would have made it a little bit better is also making the horse and the person a little bit smaller. So that way you get this David and Goliath effect. So that way it just seems more like you're like going to be pulling more towards more for the Indian and the horse. You get what I'm saying? I mean, I don't know. That's what I see when I look at this. But overall, I think it's it could be better, but it's okay.
So, sorry, folks, I'm having to eat a Luden's cough drop because I like them. I agree with everyone's point. I think, obviously, because I know these characters, they're not characters, by the way. None of these guys have personalities. These mascots are just mindless mascots. But because I know the mascots, I think this was an interesting piece. I think he certainly deserves a great deal of credit for the idea behind the piece. I mean, the same way that Gary Lytle had an idea with this piece. There's an idea here, and this is actually telling a story. And I think kudos for that. There's some perspective here that could have been more dynamic, but there is a perspective here. I have to say, I agree with Jen. Again, I'm going to give Charles the benefit of the doubt regarding the middle part of that trophy, whether or not that's glass or not. I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt. I don't know what the right answer there is, but I think I think he was trying to do something interesting, and he certainly is the only one in the group who tried to do this particular thing. So I think hats off to him for that. But I also agree that even without that piece, whether it's glass or not, it looks unfinished. The piece does still feel unfinished. I mean, again, the reason I go through detail talking about who these artists are in the tournament thus far is because when you go back and look yourself at what these guys have done, it gives you a frame of reference of how I'm looking at it. And so because of that, I have to say, as we've said before, as we said with Gary Lytle, this round was Gary Lytle's strongest piece in the tournament to date. This image for Charles Williams is his worst image to date, even though it's ambitious and he's succeeding at a couple of things he's trying to do here and doing stuff that no one else attempted to do. There's no question that his piece with the heroic trio from round 2 was far more detailed, far more efficient than this. There's no question that the perspective that he pulled together with the Afro Samurai versus Samurai Champloo image from the first week was more dynamic than this. So he's capable of a lot more. This image, unfortunately, doesn't quite rise to the challenge of that, and that's unfortunate. But I do give him credit for trying an interesting idea. Next up, we have Jalen Tate Lucas. Now, Jalen Tate Lucas, I think he is friends with one of our artists, I think, or he knows of him. I believe he's in animation school. These are all things I think. I don't know for sure. I've not talked to Jalen. But the reason I bring this up is because if you look at Jalen's previous work, Jalen is extremely stylized. And that really works for Jalen. I mean, Jalen brings, unlike a lot of artists in this tournament thus far, certainly in this round, Jalen brings a real personality to his work. His stuff feels fresh and different and new. And hats off to him for that. This is a piece that's got a lot of characters once again, but I think he does it justice with this. What do you think, Jay?
I actually like this piece. I think if let's say like this, if it was on a wall in graffiti, I would look at it for hours because of how amazing it looks, but I wouldn't buy a poster of it, if that makes sense. Like, I think it looks incredible, but only as graffiti, if that makes sense. I don't know. It looks great. I love the picture. I love the colors. They're kind of muted, but at the same time, vibrant at the same time. I don't know. It's just, there's something about this picture that makes me want to look at it for a long time, but I wouldn't buy it, if that makes sense.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again, Jay put it in terms of what he will and won't buy. All right, so what do you think, Jamie?
I like it. There's a lot of character. It looks like something I would see, like, let's say on the side of a building, almost like a mural. It has a lot of character to it. I don't like that the bottom character on the bottom right overlaps Duke, because he's already setting a precedent with everyone else being behind him. So it kind of throws me off in that sense. But other than that, I think it has some really strong line work and reminds me a lot more of graffiti than traditional art.
A good point. Okay. And then, Jen, what do you think?
Well, we established last week that I'm a Jalen Tate Lucas fanboy, and that hasn't changed here. I really dig this. I know what Jay was trying to say, that this looks like graffiti, but I would totally buy a poster of this even if it wasn't graffiti. I think Jalen is like a master of that, like oil painted look in digital. Like, it looks like an oil painting, but obviously it is a digital art piece, and I just really love it. I love how stylized all his characters are. Yeah, another awesome picture.
Okay. Well, again, I think this is a fantastic image. I will admit that it took me a minute to try to figure out what all was going on with this thing. There are a lot of mascots here. In fact, he even snuck in. He's one of just 3 artists to use Syracuse because they have the most ridiculous mascot. Believe it or not, if you can call it ridiculous, they have the most ridiculous mascot, which is just a round-headed basketball with an S hat on, which is the character in the top left. Some of them, because he's got so much stuff going on there, you can't even tell exactly if you even try to do them, which is like the Kansas Jayhawk up there, which is the red character. It's supposed to be a hawk, but obviously he's covered up by the Florida State horse. You see the Gonzaga Bulldog, the Wildcat, the Wolf, and some other stuff. Look, I mean, there are a lot of stuff in this piece that doesn't quite click. But again, it's hard to tell if that's just stylized or not. You know, I mean, the faces all work. The faces are expert. Stylized, very attractive. I do look at this and feel like this is a piece of graffiti, or it's a stylized. Everything he's done has been stylized. Again, go to round 1. He did the Justice League, or not Justice League, but I think it was Dark Side, or no, it was Thanos, and is like some Marvel and DC characters. Then in the second week, he went more unique. So Jalen is mega talented. I like Jalen's stuff a great deal. He had the Nintendo meets Street Fighter piece, but his stuff is always stylized. Nothing he does looks just complete. It always looks in a very hyper fantastic sort of style, and I like it. It's hard to judge it on just being a straight piece of illustration because it's more artistic than that. But he definitely, his composition, everything is really great. The colors are beautiful, they're vibrant. He's mega talented. So there you go. Okay, next up is German Leon. Now, German Leon is I think a Copic master, and I'm going to go to Jamie first. Not yet, Jamie, but I'm going to go to you first because I know you like Copics. This guy's a Copic master. He does Copic markers in a way that I've rarely seen, and I've been around a lot of artists for a long time, and rarely do I see artists able to pull off Copics nearly as well. Hats off to German. He's done it every single week. His first week he had this great, I guess it was Teen Wolf. I don't know what it was. It was like a werewolf type character. And then in the second week, man, I forget what he did the second week. Crap. But his stuff was just it's so strong. Oh,
he did Michelangelo.
That's right. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Right. He stuck the logo in there. And he even had that great after image of the character, which kind of had like a Joe Kubert look to it. So I'm kind of like Jim just talked about with the previous artist we just mentioned, in the sense that he's a fanboy of Jalen Tate Lucas. I'm kind of like that with German. There's something about German I fundamentally like. I'm a fan of what he's doing. A sucker for his stuff, even when it's maybe not the most dramatic piece. This is not still a dramatic piece. He's dunking a basketball. It's Gonzaga versus Florida State. Both teams got bounced, by the way. But it's an interesting piece. The pattern to the floor, I think, is really kind of cool. But again, the Copic marker use, the fact that he's got muscle definition, he just always is able to pull it together in a way that is really, really talented. Hats off to German. Jamie, I know you like Copics. What do you make of this?
Yeah, I was actually looking at this piece right before we started. I was actually kind of surprised someone would, be brave enough to try that in this competition. Everyone's, resorting to digital and stuff. I love it. There's no real bleeding lines. It's very clean. The way the shading, gradients into one another is almost professional. I love it. I do like the minimalist approach he took with it. So there's something to be noted in that regard. He's not relying on too many, tricks. It's just, here's the ball, here's guy. It's a strong composition. If I would have to say something, it's the court throws me off a little bit by the bottom left. That little, the way it's off center and tends to lean to the left just throws me off a little. But his color work is fantastic.
I agree. Jen, what do you make of this?
Yeah, we've already established he's the Copic king. It's just how clean it is just incredible, and the gradients, I don't even know how to do that. I think for me, the thing that brings it down is this floor, and it looks cool, but it also kind of looks like bricks opposed to wood paneling, and so that's a nitpick. But yeah, that's the only thing that really distracts me of this image. But his anatomy is on point. We know that from single thing he's done in the competition. His perspective is on point. Yeah, he's a really, really talented artist.
Okay, Jay, what do you make of this?
I agree. I think this picture, the Copic markers. I mean, he did a great job rendering this picture. Every single thing about this picture looks great, other than the background. I think if he would have spent as much time on the background as he did rendering with the colors on the dog and also the Indian, then this picture probably would have been one of my favorite pieces. But other than that, I mean, this picture is great.
All right. Well, I've made my comments about German. I mean, I like the piece a lot. As far as the floor goes, again, I think it's a pattern. I think he's just trying to offer something to the floor. I don't think it makes any sense to what the floor is, but I don't think he's trying to do it. I think it's an artistic decision. Like I said, I'm a big fan of Germans. I'm a big fan of his. Next up, we have Longelini Vimba. Now, Longelini Vimba, the first week, we had some weird coordination stuff because, again, folks, this is a tournament. It's all about having the balls to step up. That's why. I'm always kind of amazed at some of the people, who talk BS about, any artist, certainly our artist. That's a quick way for me to curse you out. But when I see people just trying to shoot down artists in general, I always quite amazed at that because it takes balls to put this work out there. It takes a lot of balls, it takes a lot of gutsiness, it takes a lot of self-belief, and it can be easily shattered. And so, those are some of the bravest people that choose to be an artist or put their work out there, whether it's Instagram or DeviantArt. Those people deserve to be treated with respect because what they're doing is not easy. And so with that being said, Longelini Vimba, I mean, the first week, we had artists who told us they'd do it, and then they waited to the last minute to tell us they couldn't do it, whether they got cold feet or whatever. Of course, we have to scramble to try to pull people in at that point. And so in this case, we scrambled. We had a list of alternates. We've learned over the years that we have to prepare for this. So we scrambled, pulled alternates, but we unfortunately didn't have one ready at that point for Longelini. So Longelini just did a really cool basketball image. It was really, really, really good. His second week, he did an image that wasn't, in my opinion, nearly as good. It felt rushed. It didn't feel nearly as polished, featuring Scooby-Doo. This is a return to form to Longelini Vimba. We've known Longelini Vimba for years. We know of his talent. He is talented. This is a really strong piece. What do you think of it, Jen?
I'm immediately attracted to the wrinkles in the outfit, like the way he's colored that is just, or she, I'm not sure, is just incredible.
It's a guy.
Yeah. Okay. It's incredible. There's one thing. So he did this really harsh black shading on the face, and I wish that went through the whole picture because it's really cool. But his shading on this clothing is just, out of this world. It's really awesome.
Okay. What do you make of it, Jamie?
I agree with Jin on the shading. He has like this beautiful Joe type of look at the top, and then it just sort of goes into this softer watercolor shading, which is a little bit the contrast is a little bit much. I wish he kind of put like an outline around the character because of the blue. It kind of eats up a bit of the line, but it's a very strong pose. I like that he took chances with the composition. He has some foreshortening going on, which a lot of people don't do. Everything's where it needs to be. There's some room for like the hand and elbows, but so far I like the image. I just wish he took a little bit more of a stylized choice, like Jin said. Go all out with the shading if you're gonna do it that way.
All right, and Jay, what do you make?
Yeah, I agree. The shading definitely needs to be throughout the entire image. But also, the only thing that I didn't really like about this picture was his finger. Everything else about this picture looks great. And it actually reminded me of Yusuke Murata and Aisho 21. I would love to see this dude draw like a sport. Hey. Like, I mean, just the way the coloring is. Like, I'm not saying
tonight we're gonna end up getting all sorts of comments from people saying like, "Hey, I'm saying crazy stuff."
I'm sorry that I'm saying crazy things. It's just, I don't know. This is my opinion is polarized clearly.
With a big smile on his face.
I just think that if he were to draw a sports scene, this picture would have been tremendously better if it was like an actual action scene. But I think it looks great the way it is. And other than that, the finger, I think, probably needs a lot of work because it looks too small for his hand. But other than that, I liked it a lot. It was pretty cool.
Yeah. I know I'm just teasing you, Jay, of course.
I'm sorry.
What's that?
Yeah, sorry. If I can chime in real quick, just a little advice to all the artists watching. When your character's standing that way, you want to hide the bicep. What you should see is the shoulder, if that, and then mostly the forearm and the hand. Just wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I love this piece. I think I can't say that's the funny part. Longelini in the past has contributed quite a bit to our pilot manga group and things like that. I don't recall. I never recall Angelina's stuff being this good. I remember seeing stuff, and he always kind of was kind of like Chiara Reddy. He was always kind of giving us glimpses of what he could do if he actually focused. But this, I've been impressed with two of his pieces thus far. I didn't like the Scooby-Doo piece in round two, but I really like this piece a lot. And one thing that no one's talking about is the fact that this is a lot of blue, and yet he makes it work. That's not hard. It's not easy to do, and yet he makes this work really well. He's also got the very funny Syracuse mascot. And he's got because he's just a ball. He's a ball that is like 6 foot tall ball with the hat on his head. It makes no fucking sense in the world, and yet he's got this little ridiculous mascot looking more ridiculous in the palm of the Duke Blue Devil's hand. I just think this is a really great piece. I really like it. It's not perfect, but there's so much to this piece to like. I think it's a really strong piece. All right, so next up we have Rashard Milhouse. Now Rashard Milhouse has been this is his first time in the tournament, so I had never heard of Rashard. Rashard reminds me of Bailey Boutel. Now I want you guys to bear with me for a second. So last year, Bailey started out okay. Bailey, his first image I remember it was a Batman piece, was jumping off a building, and so it had a really interesting piece of perspective, and so it was interesting. It was just interesting. That's the best way to put it. Then Bailey started, getting serious, and I remember the second week in last year's tournament when we saw Bailey's stuff, everyone was like, "Wait a minute, that's Bailey." Like, Jesus Christ, like Bailey made a light year jump. But in fact, I ain't gonna lie, I almost thought Bailey hired somebody to draw stuff because this stuff just got ridiculously better week after week until, of course, he made it to the final four. Rashard reminds me of this a lot. Rashard's stuff started out, it was really good. His first image the first week is a picture of Deadpool. You guys can check it out in round one. Really solid piece. He's brandishing a lightsaber. There's a lot of cleverness to it. But it just showed that he really knew anatomy. He knew anatomy. He had a good sense of humor. And that was it. But to see what he's gone into, in his second round, and then third round, he's Rashard is somebody to watch. His second round piece was not as strong as the first round piece. It was Pikachu versus Blanca, but it was still a really good piece. This is a piece that, again, we got that lighting going on in the background. We've got real characterization out of these mascots. We've got a dynamic pose here. We've got color work that is different, but it works. Rashard Milhouse is a dark horse to me. I think he's somebody to for other artists in this tournament to fear. I think Rashard is sitting on talent that can break some people. We'll start with you, Jamie. What'd you make of this?
I think it's sick. It reminds me, I know it might be an odd comparison, but it reminds me a lot of like Space Jam and the weird little cuts they would do throughout the movie when they were like diving at the ball. I really like the energy behind it. And it's like something I would see on a poster. I would definitely buy it up. Yeah, I like that he has the logo in the back. There's not really much I can really pick apart that he did wrong, to be honest. I kind of wish the bird followed the same flow as Duke back there. But other than that, really strong piece.
Jay, what do you make of this, buddy?
I love this picture. The camera angle, the facial expressions, the poses, the colors, everything except for, I would say, maybe the Falcon's wings. I feel like maybe they need a little bit more detail to match up with everything else that's inside of this picture. But other than that, this picture is great. I would totally buy this as a poster.
That's really good. Okay, and then what do you make of it, Jen?
So when I was scrolling through the March Art Madness things, this stuck out to me. I was like, who is that? Like, I couldn't just by looking at the picture, I couldn't figure it out. And then when I looked back, I was like, it's the same guy who did that Pikachu. Like, you're right. He did this massive jump, and the coloring and lighting on this piece is just out of this world. It's so cool. And the face on that Kentucky mascot, awesome.
The face on all three. Like I said, the characterization is hard with these mascots. That's why, I'm always, again, I know the characters, I know the mascots, but look, the face on the Blue Devil is fantastic. The face on the Kansas Jayhawk, and you guys, 3 artists, know how difficult it is to provide that level of characterization in a face that's human, much less that's like this weird anthropomorphic mascot. I mean, like big time. This is good stuff.
It's really good stuff. Like, yeah, wow, good job, Rashad.
Yeah, this is awesome, man.
Yeah, so this is really good here, Rashad. We're all in. Look, and Rashad, you are so good that you stunned Jay from saying something like, "Man, this is so good. Like I want to buy this and roll around in the bed on it."
Oh my God! No, Jesus.
Jay is master of those type of sayings. But no, really great piece. Really impressed with this. All right, next up we have Terry Vincent Jr. Now, Terry Vincent Jr. is someone, again, I think of him the way I think of Jalen Tate Lucas. I don't know what his background. I think Jalen Tate Lucas has an animation background, I think. I don't know Terry Vincent's background. Terry Vincent is one of the few artists in this group who just has personality. He has a style, and his style is always, to me, very affecting. There's something about his stuff that is, because when you have a style, folks, just to be clear, style does not mean it's great. Style just means that it's always its own thing. That no one's going to replicate what you do. They can try, but then they're literally copying your style. There are artists that we talked about who are amazing, who I don't think have any discernible style. You know, I mean, I love Bailey Buttel's stuff so far, Rashard Millhouse's stuff so far, but as we just indicated, I'm not sure there's a style in their works. Jalen Tate Lucas, very few of the artists in this group can draw like Jalen Tate Lucas. I put Terry Vincent in that same boat. If you look at Terry Vincent's very first week, one of my favorite images in the whole tournament, Mr. T, that's a great piece. Now, you can look at the piece and pick it apart for things that anatomically don't seem necessarily right, but there's a style at work there, clearly thought going into the piece, and it works. It works for what it is. The second week, he did a piece that wasn't as strong to me. I didn't like as much Spider-Man and the Turtles, but there's still a style. The minute you see it, I'm getting to the point now, the minute I see it, I know when I'm looking at Terry Vincent Jr.'s work. This is an interesting piece. I'm going to save my thoughts for it, but I do want to, again, give this guy a shout out for having style. With that being said, Jay, what do you make of this?
I actually like this a lot. Exactly like what you were saying, his style, it's very recognizable. I actually would love to see this dude draw a horror comic. I think that would be probably a really cool thing to just see. Like his shaky lines, they're not actually shaky, but like they have an eerie look to them. And I feel like that would be a pretty cool thing to see. However, in terms of the image itself, I like it a lot. I think it would need probably a little bit more oomph, if that makes sense, like more lighting, so that way things stand out a little bit more. But the way it is, and it works for his style so well that I wouldn't change anything. It looks great the way it is. So
interesting. Okay, and Jay, what'd you make of this? Not Jay. Sorry, Jamie. What'd you make of this, Jamie? My bad, Jamie. What'd you make of this?
Oh, well, the composition is really strong. Really, from the lion's head and down. What kills me is that he has this really strong image of the devil, but he decides to put it on the side rather than dead center. And I think he would have killed it with the composition had he done that. But instead, he kind of like tucks him to the side and puts the bird. I think that kind of takes away from the piece. Symmetry is very important when it comes to composition. And I think he made the wrong choice in that sense. There are some really, really great stylized characters in here, like the guy with the little sledgehammer at the bottom. I love his energy. I just kind of wish he would have moved that devil to the center, got rid of the bird altogether, and that whole composition will look fantastic.
Okay. Jim, what did you make of this?
I think this would make a really good hip hop album cover. I think it would be sick. I like that the devil guy in this picture looks like a devil opposed to a guy with like dressed like Daredevil, like a blue Daredevil. This guy actually looks like a devil, and it's really cool. Mm-hmm. The style in this is just so strong. Like it's yeah, I don't know what to say. Like his style is so cool and so him that you can't really critique it because you're like, that he's doing it. He knows exactly what he's doing. So yeah,
right. Yes. That is so. Yes, That's why I made the comments earlier. That's a great way to put it. I think some people who are maybe not as trained or not as functional when it comes to looking at art will look at some of the his stuff in particular and have this notion that there are a lot of mistakes here. He knows exactly what he's doing, and he executes what he's doing perfectly for what he's trying to do. Now, you can argue over whether or not you like what he's doing, but there's no question this guy is as skilled as any artist that we've got in this tournament. I like this piece a great deal. I mean, is it my favorite piece that he's done? I mean, no, the Mr. T piece is still my absolute favorite. This is certainly better than the piece he did last week with the Turtle and Spider-Man. I agree. The Duke Blue Devil. This is the way I prefer to see the Duke Blue Devil. Is I want to see artists actually take liberties with the characters and make them look the way they could look. I love the Purdue Boiler, which is the guy with the hammer. I love that too. The Kentucky Wildcat. Obviously, he was so wrong about that when Kentucky didn't win crap. But I like this piece a lot. I mean, by far the weakest thing in here, style or not, is the Kansas Jayhawk. Just none of that works. It's just weird. It takes up a lot of space in the corner. He's got a weird body shape. His legs don't make any sense. The proportions are off. I mean, so again, he made the choice to do it, but that's not the best choice, I think. But beyond that, though, I like it. I like this piece a great deal. I mean, it's certainly not my favorite piece this week, but it's an exceptionally strong piece, and there's a lot here to admire. And again, just as you guys know, I mean, having artists who have style is a really attractive thing. All right, next up, we have Kalani Corbett. Now, Kalani Corbett is a young woman that we're familiar with. We've seen her in the past. She is a fantastic young lady from the West Coast of the United States. Big fans of her work. I believe she's an animation student. She certainly, I think, will be in animation one day in the future. She's been inside a pilot manga with us. We've seen her grow. Huge fan of hers, just and a lovely young woman at that. That being said, she also has a very distinctive style. She's one of another sort of creator. Kalani's work when you see it because her work is very cartoonish and very fun. Last week she had the Spider-Man Miles Morales version and a turtle. The very first week she had a piece I can't quite recall, but I just remember thinking, oh yep, that's Kalani. That's what Kalani does, and she's got that great kind of energy to her work. So with that being said, when it comes to this piece, she had the Twilight Zone piece. So that being said, this is my favorite piece that she's done the entire tournament. This is by far the best piece she's done the entire tournament. Again, taking liberties with the characters. I mean, the Syracuse Orangeman basketball-looking guy, he looks the same, which is goofy. But the Red Rambler guy from Texas Tech, the Purdue Boilermaker guy, she's got him turned into like a young anime-looking character as opposed to kind of like the normal kind of guy with the big hammer. The Duke Blue Devil is kind of goofy looking. I mean, this is just pure fun. I like this piece a lot. I mean, there are composition issues and so forth with it, although I think that the framing of it is actually quite nice. But yeah, this is an interesting piece. What'd you make of this, Jen?
I made my bold statement last week that her piece was my favorite from last round.
Yeah.
I don't think this is quite as strong as that one, actually. I really like the coloring, and I love her character designs and the movement in her characters. But for me, the composition's a little bit weak. There's so much going on the right-hand side, and then there's all this empty space on the left-hand side. Yeah. So I sort of wish that devil was bigger and filling up more of that space.
Yeah.
But it's very strong. I like her character designs are on point, and I like these pink highlights in the horse. Like her color work is really, really striking. So it's a strong piece. I don't like it as much as last week. But yeah, I still really like this piece.
That's an interesting point on the color work and a very interesting point on the character design. That you're dead on. Rarely do we talk about character design. This does have some really good character design. Jamie, what did you make of this?
I like the variety in line lifts. I mean, that's something I don't think we saw much in this competition, aside from the strong artist. That center character who kind of looks like that Sun character from Bobobo has some really great line lift in him, especially since he's so close. Like Jin said, I love the highlights on the horse. There is some composition issue, but I do like the energy. Like I like that Duke's firing off that shirt cannon, and there's a lot going on energy-wise. I like it. I think it has a lot of energy.
All right, Jay, what do you make of this?
Yeah, I agree. There's a lot going on in the background, but I like that. I actually like now that I'm looking at it a little bit closer, it kind of seems like that devil character is shooting the shirt and it's like going around and coming where that hammer is in the background. You see what I'm saying? It's like kind of
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
so now that I'm seeing that, it seems a little bit better, but like I totally agree, the composition needs some work. If that devil character was a little bit bigger, maybe, or if that horse was in the middle or smaller, then this probably would have been a little bit better. But overall, I think it's I really love the colors; they're super saturated, and I love that. Overall, I think it's a great piece, but it definitely needs some work composition wise.
All right. So, as I said, this is my favorite piece that she's done, and I give Jen 100%. I love the character design here. We don't talk about that enough, but this is something that deserves to be talked about. And Kalani, in my opinion, this week so far has certainly delivered one of the best pieces of character design for this week. Again, that Purdy Boiler, that's just straight anime. The Red Rambler guy, the way she held the Duke Blue up. There's nothing you can do with the Orangeman in the front, the Syracuse. He's just a fucking stupid looking character, but I really like this piece a lot. Again, it is a little messy. Totally agree with whoever talked about the left side being not as balanced as the right. Totally agree about that. But still, a really interesting piece. Okay, next up, we have Amber Valdez Council. Now, Amber Valdez Council every week has delivered some of the best color work in the entire tournament. Her first piece was just that's what did it for her. That first, she just advanced. In fact, she had a tough competition the first week. She was up against Jamari Lawson, is an artist that we think is really quite awesome, and she was able to edge him because she had this fantastic color work. She had a lot of anime characters there. Some of the stuff looked good. Some of the stuff looked a little remote, a little more static, but the color work was so exquisite. She followed that up with round 2 with a Scooby-Doo piece that, again, that there were some aspects there that maybe weren't the best, but still the color work was exceptional. She continues it. This time, though, the color work seems a tad more subdued. Again, she utilizes the lights in the stadium to give it a bit of overhead graphics. A bit of texture to the top part of the page. I think here her character work probably is the stiffest it's been, and all of her stuff has been kind of stiff. Some of the characters here do, again, appear to be a tad more stiff than what I would think. But this is an interesting piece. Let's see. So what do you make of this, starting with you, Jay?
I totally agree with you guys. The color is definitely the best part about this piece. It does look really stiff, and because of that, it's not as interesting to look at as some other ones that we've seen. But that probably could have been fixed by just changing the camera angle. Maybe playing with the perspective a little bit and stuff. But other than that, yeah, if they change maybe the camera angle and the poses and stuff, it probably would be a lot better. But I like it. It's pretty cool.
All right. And Jamie, what did you make of this?
I love the initial composition. I love the whole, both of them going for the rebounds, a lot of energy in that regard. I love the emotions on the characters. Like we've talked about, it's very hard to bring that through with more animals than it is humans. So kudos for that. I kind of wish she would incorporate the light that she has. Like she has purples and pinks, but we don't see that on the characters themselves. It still has a very white, highlights on them, which kind of bugs me. But I like the initial composition. I don't think she needed as much in the background, to be honest.
All right, Jim, what'd you make of this?
I think these two characters at the front are very Disney-esque, especially this one on the left. I really like that Disney animation feel to it. I really dig the background. I agree with Jamie that I wish that the lighting would have bounced off the characters a little bit more. But I think it's really cool. I think the only thing that bugs me is that this bird character looks like a mascot. Like everybody else looks like their characters, but that bird character just looks like it's somebody in a suit. So yeah, that's a shame. But I really like this piece.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I like this piece a lot as well. Again, I think she's a fantastic colorist. I've said this before. I'll say it again. Some artists, look, in business, I'll say I had a meeting last night with some of my guys. In fact, some of these guys on this chat. And in business, sometimes the thing that you aren't planning to do and sneaks up on you, for us to give you March Art Madness ends up being the thing that actually helps you create a company with real momentum. you know, the thing you set out to do is not per se the thing that ultimately gets you to success. If you're an actor, maybe you want to be a leading man like Harrison Ford or The Rock, but you end up being more like Kevin Hart. You know, it's like, yes, you know, sometimes success happens in its own way. I look at Erin Veda's Council and I think, you know, I like her stuff a lot, but her color work is just exceptional. It is just exceptional. I mean, her color work is so damn good that it's ridiculous how good she is at this. And this is one of those examples where, again, like we said before tonight, some people are putting characters into the pieces that don't need to be there. I completely agree about the floor light. I mean, the ceiling lights and how it could flood the page and give a bit more artistry to what's happening. I completely agree about the Disneyfication of the two main characters, who are the most compelling characters on this image. They fit, they work. I mean, there's anatomy issues, but they're anthropomorphic, so they kind of don't even matter. The three characters down on the floor, none of them work. The Duke Blue Devil is probably the best of the bunch. Even the Villanova Wildcat, his arms kind of out like this weird way. He looks kind of phony and fake. If you had maybe chosen just to flood this with the light from the top, the purple, the pink, or whatever that is, and have that kind of highlight a little bit of these two characters fighting for the ball, get rid of the characters, out there on the floor. This could have been a really compelling piece. I imagine she probably didn't want to do that because she didn't want to. She wanted to try to get those extra points in. This is a great piece. It's not nearly as good of a piece as it could have been, but I do like this piece. I think this just fits with what she's done to date in terms of exceptional color work. I mean, this could be one scenario where Amber ends up becoming a colorist who does artwork on the side, because her color work is exceptional. My God, it's really good. Okay, next up, we have Jiro Dejima. Jiro's from Japan. I believe he's from Japan. I can't say that for sure, but I thought that's what he told me. We have lots of characters here in the piece. What do you think of this, Jen?
I think, well, there's a lot of characters, and I like the crazy messy of this all. And I'm not trying to say messy in a bad way. Like, it's just like a whole bunch of characters. I guess it's like a one-piece panel with like so much stuff is going on. And these faces are hilarious, especially this guy wearing the hard hat. The guy's face is incredible. I think the coloring in this could have used a little bit of work. And this ball in the background, I think it's a basketball, is a little bit distracting, because at first I thought it was the pattern on the floor, but now I just realize it's just a ball logo. So yeah, that's my thoughts.
Okay. What do you make of this, Jamie?
I have an issue with the coloring, but that's just me being nitpicky. I wish the color's so dull, Maybe it's just me being more biased for more brighter colors, but it just seems dull to me, and it kind of takes away from her composition, which has a lot of energy. It has them fighting for the ball. Everyone has their personality and stuff, but because of the color work, I think it kind of makes it more of it robs the energy from the piece, in my opinion.
Okay, and then what do you
just want to jump in here. Dojima is Greek, but lives in Japan.
Yeah, I saw that. In fact, I see someone who's questioning technique, and I'm going to address that a little bit later. I think it's one of the silliest comments I've seen in quite a while. But before I get to that, go ahead, Jay. What did you make of this?
I agree with Jin and also Jamie. I really like their facial expressions. It reminds me of like gag manga. So like I feel like if he drew a manga, it would be hilarious. But at the same time, I totally agree with Jamie in terms of the colors. Not that it's dull, but just that to me it's kind of off. It doesn't resonate too well. I think honestly the thing that's really thrown me off is the green outline. It's kind of glowing on everybody, and that just kind of looks like it's off to me. I feel like he finished this awesome image with all these this great composition, and then he had to make it like more basketball oriented, and then he just added these things, and I feel like it just doesn't mesh up right. So, but other than that, I like I said, I like the figures. I think they all look amazing. So
I'm not sure who mentioned the gag manga. Who said that?
Well, I just said it, but I'm not sure if anybody else said it.
Okay, I totally agree, and it's funny. Once you said that, this image crystallized in me, because this is an image I looked at and I thought, man, I really like this a lot. but then there are pieces of it that didn't make sense. Like you said, the green outline and the all the characters kind of hogging it. But then the more when you said the whole thing, I was like, you know what, crap, that is so good. This has the character facial expressions of I don't even know who the dude is with the Davy Crockett thing. I actually don't know who that is. I don't know what mascot is. You got the Purdue Boilermaker.
Yeah,
there.
like the guy with the hard hat too. Like they all have hilarious faces. I love it.
Yeah, that's the Purdue Boilermaker. But yeah, I mean, it's like and because I was saying this the other day, I was like, because some of this doesn't make any sense. Then you get to the the guy who's got the bulldog hat, or helmet or mask. He's clearly a human, but he's got the mask on. So it's like you look at it, you're like, man, that's kind of crazy. But no, I love this piece. Now that you mentioned it, I love this piece. I so love this piece. Actually, this is you. I mean, you, as I said, the minute you said it, I'm like, you know what? I love it. I love it, love it, love it. I already love it because that's fantastic. Welcome. Yeah, no, it's great. You're right. This is gag manga. This is gag manga, and so it is meant to be outrageous. It's meant to be silly, and I love this piece. This is you. I mean, I ain't joking. Like, you literally changed my mind on this piece because this is so good. Anyways, yeah, I like this. This is fantastic. Jiro Dejima, who's Greek, not Japanese, but he lives in Japan. And perhaps that's where the influence is coming from. But I really, really, really like this piece now that you put that in perspective. Okay, so next up, and we're coming close to the end of this thing. Let's see what we got here. We now have Nicholas Gray. Now, Nicholas Gray, when he started, he brought in a interesting style. Nicholas also strikes me as an artist who has art school training or comes from some particular background, because his stuff has always been extremely stylistic. I don't mean stylistic in terms of how he shows the characters. That's more Jalen Tate Lucas and Terry Vincent. Nicholas Gray's style is fundamental, like in terms of how he lays out the image and how he chooses to represent what's happening. The way he uses texture, the way that just the image itself tends to have a style. Like he's going for like a poster feel. The first week he had a Spider-Man. He's kind of hanging up there. It felt like a poster. And then in the second week, after the first week, I got to remember what he did in the second round. He had this. Where are you at?
It was Lion King.
Lion King, yes, that beautiful Lion King. So this one grew on me. It's not quite Lion King, and it's not quite that first week. This one grew on me. I love the Japanese characters in it and so forth. I love the facial expressions. In fact, the thing I didn't care about was actually the character art in the center. Had it just been the facial expressions, I actually think it would have been quite interesting. But I'm sure he obviously wanted to actually put the characters in their uniforms so we could tell who was who. He's got the Japanese manga thing going on with the character, his hands going so fast, smacking against the Blue Devil that they just look like points, as opposed to fists. It's an interesting piece. It's a really interesting piece. I'm still not quite sure how I feel about it because it is heavy on the style, but it's interesting. I know you like his stuff, and I think you know of him, so we'll hold you last, Jen. Let's go with you first, Jay. What do you make of this?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. If he would have just gotten, if he would have just gotten rid of those characters in the middle, it would have been a lot better, a lot stronger with just those faces. It would have looked more like a poster anyway. But with those characters in there, it looks more like an anime poster. So I mean, I get what he was going for, but after looking at his other work, they're substantially stronger than this. He could have did better, but I mean, I like it. I think it's okay. I don't think it matches up to what he had, but I think it's okay.
Okay, Jamie, what did you make of this?
I get what he's trying to go for. I kind of wish he just used the image in the front rather than the whole wallpaper in the back, because that's a really strong image. I love the energy and the character coming from them. But if we're just talking about that, it's fantastic. Just wish he didn't, minimize his artwork and hide it from the rest of us.
Yeah, I want to jump in. I agree with him. If he would have did either or, that would have been great.
There's a great fact on the thing here. And don't worry, I'm still going to address that one point about the judging because that's ridiculous. But the whole thing here with the someone made a point that I think it was Dejima said that the Japanese characters on the piece actually talk about madness. They're talking about madness and advancing. What do you think of this, Jen? Since we know that you have a relationship to this, tell me what you think.
I think I think I agree with you that the characters at the front are the weakest part. These three like vignettes at the back are very, very, very cool.
Yeah.
But I think, and I could be wrong, I think this is a Dragon Ball reference because when Frieza turns into his final form, there's a scene where he's standing there and then there's three character vignettes that go behind him. So I think it's a Dragon Ball reference, but I could be wrong. I like what he's doing with these characters, like they're moving so fast that they're blurry, so it's sort of like in between frames in animation. But I still think that those like the faces in the background are just so cool. I think it would have been cool if it was just those three vignettes.
Yeah, agreed. I totally agree. I think it's a very, very effective piece. There's no question. And again, the style work that Nicholas Gray brings to the table is extraordinary. It's just fantastic. But this is one of those pieces where again he made some choices stylistically, and I don't know. I think again if you're gonna go with the style in this way in terms of the artistry of the piece, the actual design of the piece, where his style is really relevant as opposed to Terry Vincent and Jalen Tate Lucas, who are more stylistic in terms of character. Then go with that, but don't be boxed in a certain way. Try to do something different on that front. I like this a lot, though. I mean, it's different for sure. Next up, we have Ray Lamar. So Ray Lamar, this is another person, kind of like I talked about with Bailey Butel last year and Rashard Milhouse this year. Ray Lamar snuck up on me because Ray Lamar had a moment in this tournament that just was like woof, like threw down the gauntlet. The very first week, Ray Lamar, trying to find exactly the piece that they did. It was first of all the name, and they never corrected us, kind of like someone else on this call. But they did a piece, and because they never corrected me, I just assumed that their name was Rosalind. I think it's Ray. I think it's a young man. Again, I may be mistaken. I don't know, so please correct me if I'm wrong there. But again, the second week they did a piece that was Jafar from Aladdin, and it was like a realistic take on Jafar. And that piece was so extraordinarily good. It was scary how good it was, and it became a tie with Nicholas Gray, as we talked about a few minutes ago, in terms of what Nicholas Gray is capable of doing. And so really, really quite extraordinary work. This piece is different. This piece is a bit more subdued. There's a lot of character work going on here. I can't tell if this is heavily manga reference because again, you see the way that Blue Devil looks. You see the way the Boilermaker looks in the front. This feels like a manga cover almost, especially the legs on the one of the Kentucky characters. Nowhere in their work have I seen manga. So that's what made me really kind of have to take several looks at it and be like, man, look, this nothing I've seen this person do has a sort of manga feel to it. The second week, like I said, was extremely ultra. Oh, the first week it was God of War. It was this really kind of standard American or Western looking, God of War piece. This piece has a manga feel to it. The colors are kind of weird, kind of throws me off on the color side of the background, but the character work just intrigues me because I can't place it, but it feels very manga-like. What do you think of that, Jen?
Yeah, it's a very different picture. It's incredible seeing like three different styles every week. Yeah, I love the animal creatures. I think they look great. Their faces are incredible. I think I agree with you. The background's a bit distracting. I'm not entirely sure why we have the four flat colors there. I think if she just left, or he or she left it white, it would have been stronger. But I really, really like Ray Lamar. Their work is really strong, and their traditional coloring is off the charts as well.
Yeah, well, agreed. What did you make of this, Jamie?
Oh, I love it. It reminds me of a more 80s anime style. And it has like I'm pretty sure you remember when those kind of animes would end, they'd always end almost like in a portrait or painting like setting when it was a very tense moment. This is what it feels like that confrontation between that final boss and the main character, and they do that splash shot. There's some foreshortening issues with the main character down there. I think his left shoulder, we shouldn't be able to see that. But other than that, there's a lot of personality going on. I really like the color work. It looks great.
Yeah. So what do you make? And what do you make of that? What do you make of that, Jay?
I like this picture a lot. I think it actually reminds me of
Jay is. I'm sorry, Ray is a young lady, by the way.
Yeah, I'm actually seeing that in the top chat right now. It reminds me of don't take me wrong when I say this. It reminds me of a Yusuke Murata picture.
He's dropping it again.
I know, I am. It's because of the composition. I mean, it looks really cool. Exactly like what you guys said. Her traditional color work is amazing. I really like that cat looks phenomenal. I could see this being a cover if it had more words, like in that yellow part, or maybe like a logo or something, if this was like a comic or something. But I could also see this as just like a movie poster as well, like exactly like what you guys said, if this was like the 1980s movie posters and stuff. I feel like the background is distracting, but I kind of understand what she was going for. The yellow at the bottom kind of it kind of goes with the yellow at the top, and the red kind of goes with the red in that in the middle with that wolf guy. That green goes with the bottom right hand corner. The purple is the only thing that kind of is off. But I mean, it kind of, I can see what she was going for, and because of that, I can let that pass. But I mean, it looks pretty cool to me. I liked it a lot.
Awesome. Okay, give me a second here. I'm trying to I'm trying to get to a place here. I'm gonna have to. Give me a second here. All right. Okay. So, all right. So yeah. Again, I think it's a really wonderful piece. Hats off to Ray Lamar, female creator, give us some fantastic stuff. Love what she was doing there. Really, really good stuff. All right. So our final artist here, and then we're gonna address some comments and stuff. Is Karthik Sainstate. Now, Karthik is from India. Fantastic artist. Have loved his stuff from the very first week. His first piece that he did, the Justice League, Deadpool, Joker image, just fantastic. I absolutely love it. The second week, then you get into some other stuff there with he then took it a slightly different route. But he has routinely done some really extraordinary work. I'm really taken with Karthik. This week, again, very manga style, I love the people, the little kind of like, hat pulled over and the eyes are like kind of like the little white dots. Love that piece very much so. Just love, this is a great piece. I mean, this is just a straight kind of illustration piece. There's not a lot here in terms of playing with the style of things, but a really, really good piece. What'd you make of this piece, Jay?
I liked it a lot. I really like the strong traditional colors. The yellows and the purples work perfectly together. It looks really good. I would say, to make it better, I'd probably move that the hammer guy. I'm sorry, I don't know all the names, but I would probably move him. Maybe the devil guy, maybe a little bit farther to the right, so that way it looks like more of a succession of tallest to the shortest, and maybe not cutting off the devil's face in entirely with the helmet. That's the only thing I would do probably to improve it. But other than that, I think it looks great. I think it looks amazing.
Yeah. What do you think of this, Jay? I mean, not Jay, but Jamie.
I love the color work. The highlights going off of the characters look fantastic. Sort of like what Jay was saying, and kind of what she centered the Hammer character more to try and bring that composition in. I'm a little worried about the Duke character. I feel like I've seen that position before, but I don't want to speak, about with being wrong. But it just seems very familiar. But I do like that he kind of reminds me of Jeddah in terms of the energy and personality he's putting out. And I really like that character behind it. But overall, pretty good work.
Awesome. All right, and Jim, what'd you make?
Really like the faces. The devil's face is exceptional, and also like this hammer guy's face. It sort of gives them characters. You were saying that these are just mascots, so they don't have any character to them. They don't have any. And so I think this picture, just with these three characters just standing there, you a personality into them, and I think it's very strong.
Yeah. I agree. I think this is really, really fantastic stuff. I again love the character illustration here. I love the detail, like the fact the fingers, are kind of clipped and stuff for the Duke Blue Devil. Horns are not quite symmetrical, but I love. I mean, that's a manga style face to the Duke Blue Devil. That kind of shit-eating smile, and then you've got the Purdue Boilermaker character with the hat over the head and the eyes are kind of lit. The Villanova Wildcat looks amazing. This is just I love this piece a lot. In fact, the fur alone on the Wildcat character is really good, like really strong. This is a great piece. I'm a big fan of this piece. So what we're gonna do then, folks, is like I said, I'm gonna address a few things here, as you guys probably noticed. And I want my three artists here, Jay and Jamie and Jen, to choose, make a list of their top 8, and we will then announce those in a few minutes. But first, we're going to address a couple of. In fact, no. First, what we'll do is the normal stuff. Let's go do the house cleaning stuff, folks. Let's talk about Saturday and talk about the our sponsors. So, starting with our sponsors, of course. Again, folks, if you're looking for an application that can help you create comics, you want to look at Comic Draw from Plask. You can go to their website, www.plasq.com. This app, ladies and gentlemen, gives you the ability to create comics from start to finish. That means drawing in the app, lettering in the app, being able to then take some stuff in and do color, different types of color, whether it's computer color, whether it's Copic marker style color, watercolor. This app is really, really fully rounded. It gives you everything you have to do. And folks, when you have paper, you simply don't have to go out of your way to buy paper. Paper is super expensive. Pencils and Copic markers, super expensive. This app, $9.99, gives you everything you need. You never have to go through that stuff again. So again, this is some really cool stuff here. You don't have to kind of go through those extra moves. And I hope you guys will check it out. Plask, again, this is one of our sponsors, one of our biggest sponsors. They've been an excellent partner Saturday AM. Folks, they care about finding new diverse creators. We want to try to make that something that we all stand for, is trying to bring new voices into comics. There's never been a greater time than now to try to offer new ideas into creating comics, new diverse ideas. And it starts with being able to have an application that can save you money and be able to produce really good content. Now, if you're going to draw and you want something tactile, then check out Illo Sketchbooks. They're a new partner of ours. They are a fantastic partner. This is a young man, someone stepping into the art supplies field. He's got an awesome piece of content, which is an actual hardbound book that you can basically put together. I mean, it comes as a really handsome edition, kind of like a Moleskine, and it's put in a square shape so that you have a better field of being a better like perspective when you're drawing your images, without having to kind of deal with that kind of immediate crease that you have when some of the smaller or traditional sketchbooks. This is made for artists, and that's what makes it so fantastic. 100-pound paper, 122 pages, a leather grippable leather exterior. You can't go wrong with this, folks. $16 is what it costs. An average Moleskine book is $40. So if you're looking for a really good piece of art supply that you can draw your ideas, you want to sketch something, if you're out and about, you want to do some other cool things, you can do it right here with Illo Sketchbooks. Really cool piece of content here. And if you want to save 20% on $16, just enter the offer code Saturday AM. You get 20% off. Last but not least, 21 Draw. 21 Draw. It is perfect for Instagram, Nicholas Cato. You're right about that. 21 Draw is another of our sponsors. They're new. Guys, if you like to check out tutorials on how to draw comics, obviously we've got one of the biggest guys. He's a partner in Saturday AM, White Manga, creator of Apple Black. But these guys at 21 Draw are doing something really cool. They raised a lot of money on Kickstarter with a really innovative way they wanted to try to provide tutorials to up-and-coming artists. The first thing that they did, the thing that we continue to harp on, is the fact they have over 100 artists. These are artists that you know either from professional, traditional comic books, or from animation, and or from Instagram. The Chamba, you know, obviously has done stuff for traditional comics with Udon, so Street Fighter, but he's obviously more well known in terms of his social media presence. On the flip side, you've got guys like Steve Rude, who I grew up with back in the 80s, creator of Nexus. He's done Superman, the Hulk. He's an artist. Some of the hottest artists today swear by Steve Rude. And then you've got Ariel Olivetti, one of Marvel's top artists. He's done Thor and Avengers and all this cool stuff. So if you want to get really great content from fantastic artists who are making a living at art, you want to know what their tools of the trade are, then you want to check out this book. It's really, really cool stuff. Massive content. I like it a lot. These guys are sponsored by ours. Their books are super expensive. So if you're in the tournament, we're going to be giving some of these away for free. So definitely check that out. And of course, with Saturday AM, folks, we are the world's most diverse shonen manga anthology. You can check us out by going to our website, www.saturday-am.com. And when you go there, you'll discover an amazing amount of content from creators all around the world. We have fans literally all over the place, including artists from Nigeria, Nicaragua, and New Zealand, and all in between, from parts of Asia to parts of Africa to parts of Europe, parts of North America and South America. We're really, really bullish about bringing manga up to date with a more diverse showing in the world, having characters and creators who come from all over the place. Of course, our biggest series is Apple Black. Clock Striker's pretty massive. We also have other things as well. And we got some fantastic stuff there. And like Uji Dojima just said, if other people won't do it, we'll do it ourselves. And that's pretty much what Saturday AM is. That's why we've got a fan base around the world and have built the kind of company that we've had. Hammer is our newest hit series from Jay Oden, who's on this call. You can check out Hammer in our latest issue number 82. And Zero, King of Thieves, is coming back to Saturday AM this summer. It's from Jin, who's our creator from China. And Jamie Molina is coming back, I think, issue 84 with Paradise Down, which is a really fun series. Learn about all the series on our website. If you want to subscribe and support us, it's just $5, folks, for 20 issues a year. If you want to get Saturday PM, which is our adult version, then obviously you pay a little bit more than that. But if you want to support independent manga-style creators, check it out. We're growing pretty rapidly. We've got people paying attention to us all over the world. We've got a video game coming out this fall, so we're not going anywhere. Now, that being said, let's address some things here. You know, I often hear about social media, and I always hear about social media and how young people are able to change the world because they can talk in social media. They can give their feelings about social media. I'm 44 years old. Jamie and Jay and Jim will tell you that I do not suffer stupidity well. When we're sitting here doing what we do to produce the content that we produce and recognizing amazing creators who've taken time out of their schedules, sacrificed time with their families to enter this competition, and then we get the equivalent of hecklers. Now, I know I've got my artists here who they all know me, so they know I don't bullshit around with this stuff. But don't come on my page, don't come on my social media stuff and start trying to talk shit. I will bust you down in 2 seconds. And for someone who's got 15 followers on this fucking YouTube page to come onto this channel and start trying to make disparaging comments about how we're choosing to judge our own competition. If you have an issue with our competition, you haven't got to watch this. If you have an issue with our advice we give artists, then you can start your own damn competition. If Shonen Jump you think has a better read on it, then you can go to Shonen Jump. But I think it's extraordinary. Someone with 15 followers, he could have had 1,000 followers, but you don't come on our page and then start trying to heckle us, essentially. And again, my artists here are really nice guys, but they have nowhere near the business experience I do, so they will fall victim to this sort of stupidity. I saw 2 of them trying to engage this young man and be like, oh, no, see, we really take it. You don't play that. Folks, don't do that. I've made this comment a long time ago, but this is the problem with social media. Let me tell you something. Saturday AM has operated for years now with people who believe in what we're doing. You don't have to believe in what we're doing, but the people who do are the people who are real fans. When Jamie works on Paradise Down, that means he's sacrificing time from his family, from his girlfriend. Same thing with Jen and his wife. Same thing with Jay and his wife. We've got people who are family, who are personal friends, and people who are customers who support what we do. I'll be damned if someone who does none of those things, and this young man, Keisuke, whatever the hell his name was, does none of these things. I've never seen him before, has not a damn thing to do with Saturday AM, has never supported us, doesn't subscribe, doesn't check out our previous content. has never once been in our previous videos, doesn't know Jen, doesn't know Jamie, and doesn't know Jay, they can be foolish enough to think they're going to engage this young man. But let me tell you, I don't play that game. And if you all are young creators, take this piece of advice. Do not waste your time on people who are not there for you. Folks, you don't owe someone who's not a fan, not a family member, and damn sure not a friend, a second of your time. The stuff that you're doing when you enter this tournament is sacrificing time to get to the next stage. The stuff that we're doing and running this tournament is sacrificing time to give you that opportunity. Anyone who would besmirch that and diminish that because they want to make a cheap joke, they want to question things constantly as if they're making real points. Read this guy's comments. There was no point he was trying to make here. He was just trying to be a hater. Don't play that game. Don't fall victim to that. And damn sure don't be stupid enough to think you're going to engage them and change their mind, that they're being real friends, real customers. They're not. And that's not worth our time. It's not worth your time. It's not worth our time. You got real questions, ask them, because we believe in we are the most transparent group out there. Everything we do is made 100% clear. But when you come on this page, you're going to try to make fun of us and make fun of my creators and make fun of the people who are trying to do this contest in earnest, then I damn well will cut your ass off. And I cut his ass out of this chat. You won't see him in this chat again. If he pops it back in this chat, he'll be bounced right the hell out again. Don't fall for that stuff, folks. You are owed more than that to do what you do. This is hard stuff. This is thankless stuff. No, a lot of you won't make any money doing this stuff for a long time. You're owed more respect than that for someone to come on here and heckle you and us and this tournament because they just want to have some fun. They can go do it somewhere else. This is not the place, and we're not the group for that. With that being said, any questions you guys have, be happy to answer them before we announce who our winners are going to be for the night. This is not the be-all, end-all. We will announce the winners officially tomorrow because we've got to go through the fan votes, and I'll explain why we have to go through the fan votes in a minute. But with that being said, if you got questions, since we've got this chat thing working, feel free to ask them. We've got 3 fantastic creators on here. You've got me on here. Let's take 10 minutes and answer any questions you got. I don't care who Keisuke is, but his comments were silly. I don't have to know Keisuke. Keisuke doesn't know us. I'm not sure why that has to do with anything, Yamada. Does Keisuke know us? Did he or she have anything to do with us? No. John Mendoza. Let's see. Is Summer of Manga returning? Yes, Summer of Manga is going to be in the next issue. You'll see the next issue of Summer of Manga featured. The Summer of Manga details for how you can enter that will be in the next issue. Let's see. Alpha Proto says, is any new manga in development? Yes, we've got a couple of new creators who'll be joining us soon. One creator is a creator like Jay Oden that you guys have known about for a long time. They're going to be joining us, and it'll be there. Bailey Boutel, great question asking, because I'm going to ignore this thing with Yamada. Yamada, I appreciate you trying to defend this young person, but I think it's disrespectful now that you're being disrespectful because this is not his show. He does not occupy a space on this channel. He was rude. He was being very silly in the comments he was making, and we bounced him. If you have an issue with that, you are welcome to leave as well. But don't sit here and spend time trying to defend someone who's indefensible. Bailey Boutel asked, how are the points calculated exactly? So, Bailey, what we did is we took points, as we indicated, you get bonus points for putting characters together who are manga characters, who are mascot characters from the basketball. If they succeed in the tournament, you get 5 points for every victory. If you're just putting characters in your piece just to put them in the piece, you just get 1 point for each team you put in there. So if you've got 8 characters, like I think you had, Bailey, then you got 8 points plus the points of what team won and so forth. Let's see. And beyond that, you then had fan votes. Now fans can come and vote. Now, one of the reasons that we've got the delay in the fan vote is that we ended up having some situations where we had fans, and I said this, as you guys know, I brought this up earlier, where the fans then were coming in and voting, and they were voting a straight line through. So they were basically voting for you, Bailey, or voting for Amber Valdez Council, or voting for Karthik Sensei. And they would post in the voting section, they post votes for the same person across all the levels of voting. They wouldn't say, okay, well, I think these 8 people or these 4 people should advance. They would just, put votes for the same person on all 4 lines. Obviously, that doesn't work. Obviously, that causes problems. So what we had to do was we had to go back in. We had to remove those votes so that no one was getting inflated votes. The problem with that is that some people got really sneaky. Some people would put in, and Bailey, this was not you, Bailey, by the way. So even though I used your name, you were not the person who did this, or you were not a subject of this. But someone, for example, would say, my first position of someone who could go through is Karthik Sainsate. My second is Bailey Boutel. My third is, Delvon Johnson. And my fourth is Bailey Boutel. And so it would put you twice, but in different places. And so what would happen is that we then would have to go in because we may have counted those votes. And then we go back in and realize, oh, wait a minute, time out. The 4th vote went to the same person as the 2nd vote on this one person's voting structure. So it was kind of, weird the way that it was done. So it took us a longer time to have to go in and change and move things around. And it just was really kind of silly. It was time consuming. So we had to go back in and fix that. So we did that. We went back in and fixed it. And it was a bit more work, hence why we couldn't have the winner announced tonight. I can reveal that that certainly there were some people who had outright number percentage in those standpoints. So I think in your case, Bailey, like you had the most votes so far that we've tabulated. You were far and away one of the larger vote counts in that regard, legitimate vote counts. But we still have work to do on the other ones. There are some people who, for example, because of the things people were doing, there are some people who just didn't register a vote at all on the first line and then got votes in the 3rd or 4th line and really started picking up momentum. So we have to look at it. We have to fix it and address it, and we'll do that as soon as we can. We'll have everything fixed by the morning. So we're pretty happy with that. But again, the votes will be based off of is the normal structure, which is guest votes will occupy about 30 points. The voters from tonight, the team who votes tonight will have 40 points. You'll get bonus points, and then you'll have fan points. And those all points will be tabulated up, and whoever has the most points is who advances. So we'll take the top 8, and that'll be it. It will be the top 8. But with all those factors involved, there should not be a tie because the variable is simply too mathematically high a variable for you to have chosen teams that you thought would win and then get points whether or not they won. Like that's not something that can be predicted. So that's what makes it unique in that regard. Let's see. I know there's some more questions here, so let me try to get to those real quickly, and then we'll get to the winners here, or at least what we suggest would be the winners. Let's see here. And yeah, I sent Yamada out since Yamada seemed to be wanting to debate stuff. Yamada can join Keisuke, and they can have powwow on their side. Let's see. Dejima said he posted a commission that happened before deadline, but there was an issue, and you guys received past deadline. Will this affect points? Yes. If it came in after the deadline, you will lose points. I think it's 10 points every hour you are delayed. Nicholas Gray is definitely going to get hurt by that because he was like 3 hours late or 2 hours late. So Gary Lytle says Duke won't count for points. It'll count because you had him. You'll get 2 points, Gary, because you had Duke and Kansas. But in terms of who won, no. I mean, you clearly put in there who you thought would win, and there you go. Let's see. Yeah, Ray, no, Duke got beat. Duke won their first game. They got beat in their second game. Sai says, do we personally oversee the distribution of graphic novels from Saturday AM? The answer is yes, we do. We are working to grow beyond Amazon. So we've been approached by some big companies. We'll be making some announcements about distribution soon. Nicholas Cato says Amazon has the POD service. They do, yes. We don't necessarily use that, but they do, yes. J. Tate Lucas says he asked some peers if they did that. I know one did because they were confused about the instructions, but I hope that seems like we're doing it on purpose. I'm not sure what you guys are talking about there, but all right. All right, so yeah, we're about to get to the Elite Eight. So there we go. All right, so everybody's, so I think that's all the questions that we had. So we'll be ready for Elite Eight. Jay, are you good?
Yeah, I'm good whenever.
All right, Jamie.
Yep.
All right, and Jen.
Yep, ready to go.
All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back through. We'll have a very quick run at each of these, and basically we'll just give our yes, yes, no scenarios for each of these. We're going to start with Delvon Johnson. And so I'm going to start with, I'm going to go back to Jay and ask, Jay, for Delvon Johnson, tell me, does Delvon Johnson, does he get your vote?
Yes.
All right. And Jamie?
No.
Okay. And Jen?
No, unfortunately.
Oh, my God. Well, I'm a yes. I think Delvon Johnson certainly brought some stuff there. All right. Next up. So that's 2 for, 2 against. Next up, Christopher Domingo. How are we looking on Christopher Domingo? Start with you, Jen.
That's a no for me, unfortunately.
Oh, my God. Oh, my goodness. All right. That's a no. Folks, we get this is the J team, and they clearly are they're clearly they're going to be tough tonight. I feel this. Not tough somehow on that idiot who was on our chat. They're going to be tough on the artist. Jamie, Mr. Nice Guy, what was your thing?
Yeah, it's a no from me.
Oh, my goodness. Jay?
Yeah, I hate to be the bad guy. No.
Oh, my goodness. Unfortunately, I also am a no, so there you go. All right, next up, we have Gary Lytle. Gary Lytle, great looking piece here. A lot of emotion. What do we think? Start with you, Jen.
It's a no from me. Sorry, Gary. I love you.
Jay?
I love this piece, but no.
Wow. All right, Jamie.
It's a yes from me.
Oh, all right, Jamie. All right. Unfortunately, I also had to give this a no. I like the piece a lot. It had a lot of energy to it, but when it came down to trying to choose 8, I couldn't move this in a position of occupying the 8. So for me, that is also a no. Next up, we have Kiara Reddy. Kiara Reddy, beautiful looking piece here. Interesting looking piece. Let's start with you, Jamie. What did you make of this?
Yeah, she definitely got my vote.
All right. Jen.
Yes.
Jay Oden.
Yes.
All right. I also give it a yes. So Kiara, our first universal yes. Next up, we have Mr. Bailey Boutel. And so I'll start with a second here. I'm going to start with Jen. What'd you make of this, Jen?
This is yes. Aussie, Aussie, Aussie. Oi, oi, oi.
Oh, geez. He's an Australian, folks. And then what about you, Jay?
Yes.
All right. And Jamie?
Yep.
All right. So again, a universal yes. So we are making some progress here. Charles Williams is next. Charles Williams had the Florida State Purdue. What do you make of this, Jay? Jay Oden?
Yeah, sorry. No.
All right. Jamie?
Yeah, same as Jay. No.
All right. Jen?
There's way too many J's, but no.
And folks, you don't notice my last name is Jones, so wow. All right, so that's a no as well. So 4 no's there. Unfortunately, Charles, I thought was trying to do something interesting here, but I think this was not his best work, unfortunately. Jalen Tate Lucas is next. Jen, I already know what you're gonna say here.
Yes.
You're gonna say yes. Yep. What about you, Jamie?
Yeah, it's a yes from me.
What about you, Jay?
No. I'm sorry.
Damn, it made me choke on that one. Holy crap. All right. That that's a yes for me, but wow, that one made me think on that one. German Leon is our next entry here. What did you make of this, Jamie, since you love copic markers? What did you make of this?
I love the work, but it's a no.
Jay.
He's disappeared.
Oh, Jay disappeared. Oh, okay. All right. Well, Jen, what'd you make of this?
This is a no from me.
Mm. Mm. All right. Well, this was a yes from me. So okay. All right. And then we'll see what happens with Jay when he returns. All right. Longelini Vimba is next. What'd you make of this, Jen?
Like this piece, but it's still a no. Sorry.
Mm. Jamie?
Same as Jen. No.
Mm.
You.
All right, Jay, you made it back. So, Jay, what did you make
Yeah,
of
sorry about that.
It's okay. What'd you make of German Leone's piece? Was that a yes or a no? German Leone.
Germany, hold on. Let me go back to the thing. I like this piece, but no.
All right. Okay, Longelini Vimba. Jay, what did you make of this piece?
Yes.
And I was also a yes. So there you go. Okay, Richard is next up. Richard Milhouse. What'd you make of this, Jay?
Yes.
What'd you make of this, Jen?
Yes.
What'd you make of this, Jamie?
Yes from me.
All right. Yes from me as well. Terry Vincent Jr. What did you make of this, Jay?
No.
What did you make of this, Jamie?
It's a no from me.
What did you make of this, Jen?
Really dig it, but it's a no.
Sadly for me, it's a no as well, and I really did dig it a lot. I really, really liked it, but you know, again, having to choose what you had to choose, so it gave me that. Kalani Corbett is next. What did you make of this, Jen?
This is a yes. I'm a big fan of Kalani.
What did you make of this, Jay?
No.
What did you make of this, Jamie?
I love the energy, but no.
Unfortunately, I was a no as well, and I think this is Kalani's strongest piece here. But again, trying to justify it alongside the other creators, that was kind of unfortunately my issue there. Next up is Amber Valdez. Cancel. Sorry. What did you make of this piece, Jamie?
It's a yes for me.
All right. Jay.
It's a no for me.
Jen.
Yes from me.
Okay. And I was unfortunately a no on this one. Even though I love Amber Valdez Cancel's stuff here, again, trying to justify it. Plus, those characters in the floor just ultimately kind of took me out of it a little bit. But, you know, there you go. All right. Next up is Jiro Dejima, the gag manga piece, which I did not realize was gag manga at first. I thought it was some weird stuff going on there. What did you make of this, Jay?
I love this piece, but no.
What did you make of this piece?
I'm sorry.
What did you make of this piece, Jen? Jen.
It's a no for me, this one.
What did you make of this piece, Jamie?
It's a no as well.
I hate to say it was a no for me also, but I swear I was struggling on this one because it was this and Jermaine Leon, and Jermaine Leon, just like I said, his use of Copic is extraordinary, but this piece, I struggle with this one, but this unfortunately for me was a no as well in that regard. Next up we have Ray Lamar. Oh, no, I'm sorry, we have Nicholas Gray. Sorry, Nicholas Gray. Nicholas Gray. Start with you, Jen. What'd you make of this?
This is a yes from me.
What'd you make of this, Jamie?
It's a no from me.
What'd you make of this, Jay?
Yes.
All right. And for me, this was a yes. Karthik. Not Karthik Sensei. Next up is whoops, sorry folks. Next up is Ray Lamar. What did you make of this, Jay?
Yes, I loved it.
All right, what'd you make of this, Jamie?
It's a yes for me.
What'd you make of this, Jen?
This is a yes.
Oh, excellent. Okay, good. I was a no on this one, but I was really scared because I think Ray should be going ahead, but I was trying to move my votes around. All right, last but not least, we have Karthik, and so with Karthik, what do you say, Jay?
Yes.
All right, and with Jamie, what do you make of Karthik?
I feel the same. It's a yes for me.
Or what do you make of Karthik? Jen?
Unfortunately, I've used up all my votes already, so no.
Oh wow! All right. Well, that was saving my last one for Karthik. So I was yes. So there we go. Okay. So looking at what we've got here, we have three universal yeses. That was Bailey Boutel. That was let's see here.
Kiera
I'm sorry.
Reddy.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't three. I'm sorry. It was only two. Only two universal yeses. One was Bailey. The other one was Richard. Outside of that, oh no, there were three. Yeah, Kiara Reddy. Yes, it's Kiara Reddy. Sorry, three. Yes. Domingo. At this point, looks like they're going to have a Domingo. Looks like might be eliminated. Unfortunately, Gary Lido looks unfortunate like he may be eliminated. He had 3 no's to 1 yes. Charles Williams unfortunately looks relegated. German Leon looks potentially relegated. Unfortunately. Terry Vincent Jr. looks unfortunately relegated. Jairo Dejima looks relegated, which I wasn't expecting that. I thought there might be some other people thinking like I was. Then we've got a few people who are kind of in the middle. We've got Nicholas Gray, 2 yeses and 2 no's. Amber Valdez canceled, 2 yeses, 2 no's. Longelini Vimba, 2 yeses, 2 no's. Jalen Tate Lucas has 3 yeses, 1 no, so he should make it through. But again, you never quite know on that one. Delvon Johnson is 2 yeses and 2 no's. And what else do we have here? One other one that was and then
Was Ray Lamar 4 out of 4?
Ray Lamar is no, 3 yeses and 1 no. Sorry, 3 yeses and 1 no. Yeah. So all right. So what does this mean? So it means, first of all, that can't say anyone's truly out yet, folks, because at the end of the day, our votes, I said, account for up to 40 points. We have another set of judges, just in case, I feared that my guys would go crazy here on this call. We have another set of judges. They vote, and we count those votes as well. And those are up to 30 points. So think about it. That's 10 points less than what you could get. You've got the bonus point structure, which also slides in there, and then you've got the fan vote. So there's no out at this point. I wanted to be able to give you an out, but I'm not going to do it. But I'm going to be able to give you the next best thing, which will tell you what's going to happen for next week's theme now. So, again, tomorrow morning, we will establish who the remaining 8 are. You will find there. I'm sorry, this morning, because it's already 12:30. So, about 10 a.m. This morning, you will see who has made it of the 8. You will see the point structure as we always do, and you'll be able to compare it with each other. And of course, for our private group that we have, of course, you guys, of course, can always then, of course, ask those questions when you get to that point. Now, that being said, when we look at where things are right now, there will be 8 groups left, or 8 artists left, and those 8 artists will be split up back into the original 4 teams: Team A, Team C, Team S, and Team B. 2 artists per each group. Where those artists were before, most likely they will end up again. So if you were in Team S for most of this tournament, you most likely will end up there. If you were not, you most likely will end up where we need you, depending on who got cut and who didn't. You will once again be facing off against another person to get to our final 4 for this week's round. So round 4 is kind of the last stage, because after that it's the final 4. And the final 4, there's a winner. We don't do the final 2. We go from final 4 directly to the winner. So the final 4 will have a very unique, the first time we've ever done it, challenge. So this is the last one-on-one battle, because after that it's 1 versus 3. Now, with that being said, this week's tournament, depending on where you go, will be fan art of that Saturday AM character that corresponds to that. And what does that mean? It means that the judges for this will be predominantly the creators of those materials. So if you're in Team A, White Manga himself will be judging how well you produce his character from Apple Black. If you are in Team S for Saigami, Andrea Voros will be personally judging how well you do with her character. If you are in Team B, Raven Brown will be personally articulating how you do with his character, and then conversely, I'll be looking at how you guys do as where we come back with for that. So that's what we'll look at. Now, there will be opportunities here as well to create other characters in that group, and the creators of those characters will also weigh in. If you decide to put in a character from another manga, from the guys who are on this call right now, they will also be weighing in to determine how that does. So this is going to be a really fluid, very surprising, and very challenging effort. But this is going to be really interesting to see how that stuff comes together. So with all that being said, obviously, let me just go ahead and give some love here to suggest, again, I see my guys trying desperately to put themselves out there to try to save whatever face is there. But folks, as I say before, you know, don't let people heckle you. Don't do that. Don't let people try to come in there. If someone is talented at what they do, then start their own tournament. You know, but don't use this platform to be your voice to make yourself known. I trust that my guys will learn that lesson as well. That being said, as you guys know, always incredibly impressed with the people who are part of this tournament. Incredibly impressed with the people who give their time and try to get involved with this stuff. Is huge. It is not easy to put yourself out there. It is not easy to make the sacrifices to try to create comics. This is not beanbag. Fanboyism is the stuff that I think is killing so many artists, because they think of the stuff as being easy, and it's not. They think it literally comes down to just drawing this, and if people like it, if I get free likes on Instagram, man, I got mad at made. It's not anything like that, folks. The real world of creativity is harsh. So being in a position where you can learn, being in a position where you can challenge yourself, being in a position where you can be rewarded for trying to do some extra work on this stuff, and always being in a position where you recognize the sacrifice you're giving is absolutely, fundamentally the key to succeeding. Don't let anybody get in your way with that. Don't let anybody take advantage of what you're trying to do, or try to ridicule you, or try to change who you are. Take the criticism. I was talking to someone the other day, and we had this great line with someone was saying, you know, oh, Morgan, who does Soul Beat, who's been on this chat with us, had this fantastic thing where she talked about how, you know, she really loves Saturday AM a lot, because she's like, I appreciate the fact that you know, I keep it very real, and that it's very challenging in this environment. Morgan has been to art school. Morgan has been she's a architect, so she's in a really, really difficult field. And she's like, when, you know, the art school she went to, she's like, you know, I mean, it was nothing to get taken apart. Nothing to get taken apart. And this is why I'm really big on college and really big on art schools as well. I think there's something really special about having a chance to be in a position where you're actually learning, fundamentally learning, where you're in a collegiate environment, where you're in a corporate environment, where you're actually having people critique your stuff, sometimes harshly, because that's the real world. Instagram and YouTube is not. That's the real world. And so, again, we try to put these tournaments together to give people that opportunity to speak, to have their voice seen, to have to do their stuff at that point, and to have people provide, people who care, provide real judgment on these things. You guys are awesome. Love every single one of the guys who've been to the tournament. Every single week, it's been really, really hard to see some artists leave. I had a great conversation with Mike Shamong, who did the Byakugo pick from the very first week. And this guy's awesome. This guy's awesome. He could have won. He probably should have won. But, you know, that's life. That's life. Life is not things fitting nicely in a box. Life is not doing your best and always having the right result. Life is actually having challenge, having things sometimes work out differently than what you expected. And again, I'm so excited about this tournament. I'm so excited about the creators who get involved in this tournament. It's really great stuff. So again, thank you guys for participating in this event. Those of you who do not make it to the next round, as you guys know, in our private group, stay in the group. We've got more prizes coming to you. We've got more direct interaction with artists coming to you. We've got more interviews coming to you. Those of you who advance to the next round, it's only going to get harder, folks. We know how that goes. It's only going to get harder. So we'll see how everything shakes out. And of course, someone's going to walk away with an iPad Pro, but other people are going to walk away with other prizes. And again, that's a testament to how hard you guys have worked for this tournament. We're so excited and proud of the effort you guys put in. With that being said, I also want to give a shout out to my artists. Every week we've had great commentary. I'm super, I've always been really impressed with Jen's commentary the last couple of weeks, and I'm going to give a special shout out to Jen. He's really bringing it in these videos and offering fantastic, like real criticism, not some of the silliness we saw in the chat tonight. But he's been giving real criticism, and I hope you guys are taking it to heart. Jay Oden also is doing some amazing stuff, and so I'm really, really impressed with Jay Oden with the stuff he did. And Jamie had some great points tonight, and really, again, proud of all three of these guys being a chance to be involved in this. So that's going to be it. Again, if there's any questions, I'm happy to kind of. I know these guys have got to go to work or get up early in the morning. I'm happy to answer any questions that are there because I know, like I said, the last 3 weeks we've done this, and I never paid attention to the chat. I guess I probably should have, but I never did. So, with all that being said, if anyone's got, if anyone wants to ask questions, I'm happy to answer them. Again, I continue to see people trying their desperate to get KSK in this conversation, but any questions, I'm happy to answer them. Go ahead. And yes, Ray said it right. Harsh criticism is absolutely the best criticism.
Yeah, I agree with that. But I just want to chime in and say that I actually have to go now, but it was great doing this. Anybody that's still watching, I just want to say thank you for participating in this competition. You all rock. Please keep on drawing and never give up. That's literally the key to success. If you give up, that's when you fail. So keep on going. You will succeed if you have the right mindset. But anyway, I guess I'm about to leave. So peace, dude.
Wise words from Jay Oden, folks. And again, this ain't YouTube or Instagram, folks. Jay Oden actually has done work for actual, real comic book companies. So, again, take chat from people who are really doing this stuff. Jen, did you have anything you wanted to add before I take some of these questions?
Yeah, sure. This was a really, really, really tough round, and it's really hard to pick 8 out of these incredible artists. So yes, kudos to everyone who participated in this thing. This isn't easy. And being an artist, working on really quick deadlines and producing such incredible art, that's nothing to scoff at. So yeah, congratulations to everyone who's entered, even who got knocked out in the first round. And yeah, keep drawing.
All right, Jamie, anything you want to add in there?
Yeah, this is more so towards the Keys situation. If someone like Jim Lee, who can draw circles around everyone in here, still takes time to learn the fundamentals, I find it absurd that someone can speak out their mouth that way. Usually I don't like to speak this way, but that's just how I feel. I see a lot of shilling going on in the chat for him. Please don't waste your time. That's how I feel. Don't waste your time. I've seen his work. Not as good as you're trying to pitch it, and certainly not as good as half the people who participate in this tournament.
Yeah, I haven't looked at KSK stuff, but yes, I do find it interesting that again, and this, like I said, I talk about this a lot. I'm 44 years old. I find social media to be maddening at times because it's a lot of young people with very little experience in life trying to offer opinions that are usually useless. I don't know who this person is trying to talk about how white manga knows KSK, but that is, again, one of the stupider comments I've heard. Sai12 Nanahana says, can you give the social media handle? I think they did earlier. What's your handle again, Jamie, on Instagram?
For Instagram, it's Space and Stuff, and Twitter, it's Paradise Down.
Right, okay. And Jay Oden, folks, is, again, this is the guy who you guys can pay attention to. This guy's worked at traditional comic companies here in America. His is just Jay Oden. It's Jeyodin. And then Jen, I think Jen, you still there, or you leave?
Yeah, I'm still here. Yeah, my handle is Jazzy Jin, JAZZYJIN, across everything.
That's right.
Oh, that's Z is a Z for all you Americans out there.
Yes. Okay, so let's see. We have a couple of comments here. John says, "Are the rules of Summer of Manga different from last year?" They are. It's in the. I don't want to talk too much about it because obviously it's a different event. But subscribers of the magazine will get that information first in issue 83, which hopefully comes out tomorrow, and then we'll announce it on the website later. But they are different, yes. Any other questions? Gary Lytle says, can't wait for next round. Yep, I agree. It's going to be next round. It's going to be interesting. And the final round, I can tell you now, is going to be, you guys will be talking about that because it's something we've never done before. All right, folks. Any other questions? I know because I don't want to hold anyone up. If there's any other questions, I'm happy to answer them. If not, then we'll probably go ahead and sign off now. Alpha Proto says, I enjoy watching these critiques. And we've been doing these critiques, by the way, for a long time, folks. If you guys have, if you don't know Saturday AM, again, we've been doing this for a long time. So this is not something we pull out of our butt. This is not something we just figured out. Like I said, I've been in the professional video game and comic book industries for a very long time, for damn near 20 years. But as far as the Summer of Manga, we typically do not do critiques for that. For those of you who don't know, Summer of Manga, so if March Art Madness is an art competition, unlike anything you've seen, Summer of Manga is a submission period, unlike a lot of what you typically see. So if you were to submit a comic to Marvel or DC, you know, first of all, you may never get a response back. And then two, you know, that just, you know, certainly doesn't mean they'll publish it. This is a scenario where we get inundated with requests every single day. I mean, today we got one from oh crap, it was from Venezuela, and not Venezuela. Sorry, not Venezuela. We got one from Peru, and so it was like, you know, it was interesting, and you know, we get people from all over the world, and it's too much because we're too small of a company to manage all of those. So I think for us, what we try to look at least, is try to put together something that gives people an opportunity to submit something in good faith, knowing that we will look at it and knowing that it will run if it feeds, you know, if it meets some of the things that we have. So we basically put, you know, effort together on those things. And from that standpoint, what we're looking at is with Summer of Manga is that we don't use it as a cudgel to, you know, beat someone up in terms of critiquing their work. We just use it to say, look, you know, if you follow these rules and you tell a decent story, it's got a beginning, middle, and end, then we'll run it. And that's pretty much what it comes down to. So it's a summer of manga. It's a summer of new creators. We mix it in with creators that are joining Saturday AM officially. And last year we discovered someone who was in their 60s, and they had always wanted to create a comic book, and they did it. We had people who were in their early 20s and people who were in their 40s. And so it's a really lovely event. There's really nothing quite like it that I've seen. And we're really excited about this year. But again, it'll be different, but we won't do critiques, no. Let's see. Sai12 Nano Hana says, this is a general question. How would you feel if someone submitted a one-shot but the line work was pencils? I mean, again, like if you're going to submit something, you know, submit it from that standpoint in terms of what we officially look for. If you're going to do that, that's what you have to kind of do. I don't think we would look at pencil work. I mean, you know, obviously we want to see something finished. We want to see a finished piece. But if we have a submission scenario where you just are submitting your work for us to look at, which is rare that we do that, then yes, we would certainly be open to that. But in terms of Summer of Manga and most of our normal submission events that we've done, at least for the last year, we want to see you do a full story, you know, within a certain page count, and just with a beginning, a middle, and end, so that we know you can tell a story. Because again, I think a lot of creators get caught up in the idea that because they've got a story, then they're a creator, and that's not quite how it works. The real world is a little bit different than that, and so you've got to be able to actually tell a story. You've got to be able to start a story with interesting characters, provide a twist, and then have an ending. And, you know, Batman, Superman, you know, do this all the time. Your Dragon Ball Z movies do this. But manga, in terms of a regular serialized story, takes a long time. And if you're trying to do that and you don't really have the skills to do it, then it makes it really frustrating. Your growth will be more retarded because you won't actually have a chance to tell stories and get into the mix of telling a story with the beginning, a middle, and an end. So we probably wouldn't look at something that's halfway finished. We want to see something complete, and it would be, again, a short story. AJ Valenti says, Alex Valenti says, if you're going to interview any of the round one contestants, yes, we're going to be doing that. We're going to be interviewing people from round one, round two, round three, and so on. We got a big thing planned about how we're going to do that. So we will, again, stay in the group, the private group, and we'll get to that soon. Adam Warren, yeah. Adam Warren is awesome. So yeah, I think that's a little different. It's a little different. Yeah, Adam Warren he's pretty awesome. He does his thing the way he does it, and so it's a little different than that. I don't think I never like comparing yourself to an existing artist. I think it's a really difficult proposition to do that. So I don't like doing that. But Adam Warren is a special case. I mean, his stuff, he's publicly said many times. I read Adam Warren when I was a kid in the 80s because he's been around that long, and he's always been very upfront. He hates finished work. He likes the doodle look of his work. The guy who does Scott Pilgrim also has talked about this at times. So yeah, I think he's a little different. I wouldn't try to be like him. Gary Lotto says, will we be eligible for your birthdays a month after Summer of Manga? I mean, again, I would wait till the rules come out on that, Gary. I don't want to address the rules right now, but, you know, suffice to say that if you fit the rules, you fit the rules. I wouldn't worry about it. So Ray says something about submitting to Saturday PM, which is our seinen magazine. But I know my work in art style isn't consistent enough yet. Is Summer of Manga a way to get some feedback? It is, yeah. Summer of Manga. Now, Summer of Manga is not for people who are trying to submit Saturday PM stuff. But again, that's not the point. The point is, can you tell a story with a beginning, middle, and end? And if you can, and you can show us that you can actually tell a story, just like March Art Madness is, can you draw a picture? You know, if you can't draw a picture, or if you only draw Spider-Man, then you're not going to survive March Art Madness. So you have to have multiple skill sets to survive March Art Madness. That's why it's 5 weeks. And Summer of Manga is similar in that regard, in the sense that if you can't tell a story, ideas won't cut it, you know. And if you want to tell a Saturday PM story, first of all, my thing is you got to be older. The idea of you being 15, 16, I'm not saying you are, Ray, but we do get this a lot of kids contacting us saying, I've got an idea for Saturday PM. That's ridiculous. That's just ridiculous. If you're a young kid, you haven't lived life, the idea of you telling a story for Saturday PM is ridiculous. But beyond that, Saturday PM, again, yeah, is a more advanced story, even though we got creators of the ilk of, you know, White Manga and Jin and so on and so forth in Saturday AM. You know, Saturday PM is a bridge different. And so it's kind of like the Adam Warren example. So with Saturday PM, if you're going to submit something for that, you can submit something for Saturday AM's Summer of Manga, show us you can tell a story, and then when we have a pitch session for Saturday PM, we'll know if you have the talent to tell a story, because that's going to be mandatory for Saturday PM. I mean, obviously you have to have talent, but telling a story is mandatory for Saturday PM. It's not even a question. If you have all the greatest art in the world, but you can't actually tell a good story, then Saturday PM just we won't consider you for Saturday PM. Magisoft, who I can't quite tell if they are a shill for in case whoever that guy's name is not, is asking, is saying that comic and manga industry, you need to be backed by a company. Not necessarily true, but it is true that being an independent creator is really difficult. And so what we're doing in Saturday AM is kind of the best bridge you can get if you're an independent creator, because you have a lot of flexibility, but you still have the functionality of a company. But yeah, for the most part, it's really difficult to succeed as an independent creator. Yeah, well, I meant retarded, John, in the classic sense. I didn't mean it in any disrespectful way. I do agree with you. I don't like that word either. Let's see. Ray says, is there a platform where I can get some feedback? I mean, is there a I don't know if there's a platform where you can get some feedback. I mean, I don't know. I mean, Match Art Madness is popular precisely because we do these live shows and people get to see this amazing artwork and stuff, but I don't know if anyone else has that. Side 12 Nana says she's got a question about social media. So yeah, I'm happy to check that. Magisoft says it's not only about being good, it's about finding an audience and funding. Again, I agree with that. I mean, I'm not sure necessarily that you've got the right take on it, but I agree that ultimately, you know, if you're going to succeed in this stuff, you've got to ultimately find an audience. I think that's with the independent creators, one of my biggest things, as we saw tonight with this Keisuke fool, is the notion that you have to is that individuals can just be themselves enough to succeed. And the reality is that the comic industry, manga industries are really tough, and finding an audience goes deeper than having someone do a like for you on YouTube or a like for you in social media. It's really, really tough. So you've got to find a way to succeed, and finding a way to succeed means you got to find an audience. And companies tend to care about audiences because that's how we keep the lights on. Other people don't. So, you know, that's the challenge with it. Politically incorrect, Frederick, is the best, Frederick. I don't know if I'm politically incorrect, but I do try to keep it real. So I do respect people. If they're being respectful, I respect them back. Okay, so folks, we're kind of coming to the end here. Are there any other questions we can get to? It's about 12:58. I'd like to wrap up here, probably about 1:05 at the latest. So any other questions here before we call it a night? I've got to go and prep all this stuff for later in the morning, so you guys can see who won and who's going to the next round. Side 12, Nano Hana, did you have anything? Ink Slicer says, how would you go about building a portfolio? First of all, always have a portfolio. I'm always struck by people who try to enter some March Art Madness, for example, who don't have an online portfolio. That is beyond ridiculous. I'll say this again. I am older than you guys, probably by 20 years. It is extraordinary to me how some of you guys squander, and I'm not saying it's all of you guys, but certainly this is some of you, how you squander what you have with today's technology. It is far easier than it's ever been to create a comic and get it out there and get seen and be rewarded financially with your art than it was in my day. Light years better than it was in my day. And so, the idea of building an online portfolio is simple. Draw, scan it, and then put it up on Instagram, put it up on Tumblr, put it up on Facebook. Don't put it on Twitter. Twitter's not a platform for that. But, if I go to your Facebook page, you can make your own Facebook page, by the way, for just your art. But, I can go there. I can go to pictures. Instagram is nothing but pictures. Tumblr, of course, is heavy to pictures. So those are the best mechanisms. DeviantArt is still relevant, so you can draw DeviantArt. But you got to have a portfolio, folks. You got to have a portfolio. The idea of you guys, anybody trying to be an artist and they don't have an online portfolio nowadays is like, not having a email. It's just crazy. It's like you've got to have an online portfolio, and it's to get one is simple. They're free. All you got to do is draw a picture, scan it, or take a picture of it with your phone and upload it, and you're good to go. Side 12, Nana Hana says, how do you feel about artists taking advantage of online algorithms in order to both sell their work and themselves as both a business and brand? I don't have an opinion about it. I don't think there's anything wrong with people trying to do everything they can. That's not my. I don't have anything about that. I mean, I think you should do what you got to do. I mean, it's so hard to succeed at this, as I've tried to make clear tonight. It's so hard to succeed at art and creativity that if you find a way that you can juice the advantage, do it. We've got a competitor in Saturday AM that, they're nowhere near what we do. They don't have any of the platitudes of what we've been able to create with Saturday AM, but they've been able to get pressed. And they were able to get pressed because one of the guys in their company had a really unique backstory, and it tied into things that they could, that these websites could talk about, right? They could say, hey, here's an article about some company you never heard of, and they're connected to this thing that's really big that you probably have heard about. And that's great. That's fantastic. That's good stuff. I mean, I'm not happy about it because we work hard. We're trying to get it done the old-fashioned way, meaning that we do the work, we present what we do, we have a fan base, we generate sales, we have passionate people, both who both love us and those who are trying desperately to be like us. We've done all the hard work you could possibly do for this stuff. But hats off to them. I can't hate them for getting pressed. They're doing what they got to do to get pressed. So at the end of the day, I don't have an issue with that. I mean, I can say this: you will be judged by the people who matter, which are the fans and those people who actually make the business go around, which is movie studios and toy companies. You'll be judged on real things, not on how many people you have on social media, but on whether or not your characters actually sell, and whether or not your characters actually make kids excited. You'll be judged on those things. You won't be judged on, I got 50,000 Facebook fans. That won't matter, trust me. So that's pretty much how you look at that. That's the best I can say on that front. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Yeah, as far as Twitter goes, yeah, Twitter is, look, I mean, I think Japan is a unique case. That's why, again, I say don't compare yourself to other artists. Don't compare yourself to Japan. Japan is a really unique case, folks, because in Japan, let's face facts. What's that platform that they've got? It's like Reddit for 4chan. 4chan. I mean, 4chan is that's not a place you'll ever see Saturday AM. If you will ever see Saturday AM really heavily on Reddit, but you'll never see Saturday AM on 4chan. I mean, there's a lot of unsavory things that go on those sites, so you just won't see us involved in that because we're not about that stuff. So Japan is different. You know, I mean, if it works for Japanese creators, and it does, then do it. But also, let's remember, in Japan, manga sells, lots of copies per week. American comics and other countries don't quite do that. So, so the chances of you having this sort of loop that they have in terms of having their work on every 7-Eleven store in a country of so many people, and then having Twitter, back that up, is different than what happens in America. In America, we have a lot more competition for, for awareness. We have lots of big sports leagues. We have lots of entertainment options. So it's a different animal. And I don't think comparing Twitter for the average user is the same for Japan. It's a totally different animal. Yes, I 12 Nanahan. I was getting ready to say that too. I was getting ready to say that. Yes, the other thing too is that if you draw certain things, you can get an audience really quickly. That may work against you in building a future career in comics and so with certain companies. But there's no doubt that drawing not suitable for work images, drawing LGBT stuff is hot right now. Look, I mean, you can definitely, succeed with those things. So if that's what works for you, go for it. So let's see here. Again, I don't know who Magisoft is, but Magisoft is they're talking from my playbook, so I'm with it. Yeah, I mean, popular, because I've said this before. I think if you've got fans on Instagram, it didn't cost them anything to like your image. If they're not giving you money, they're not fans. And I always laugh when I see young creators talking about, man, I've got lots of fans. It's like, that doesn't mean anything. It means nothing. Fans are people who put money in your pocket. I never said that about Man of Steel. That is Jamie Molina likes Man of Steel. I do not like Man of Steel. I like I'm a DC Comics fan, but I love Marvel superhero movies. Those are great. I saw Thor Ragnarok the other day, and again, and it's such a good movie. But yes, all these comments are really great. Sai 12 Nanahana to me wins the night for funniest comment. So yeah, so there we go. I don't know who Shadman is supposed to be. I don't know why this person's name keeps coming up. But anyways, yeah, so that is essentially that. So yeah, so anyways, folks, I'm going to go ahead and call it a night. Thank you again for tuning in to March Art Minus Round 3. I'm so appreciative of you guys taking time to share with us your thoughts and supporting these amazing artists who participated in the tournament. To the artists who participated in the tournament, guys, I'm a huge fan of you guys. I'll say it again. It takes balls to enter March Art Madness. It takes balls that most of the people who hop on this chat don't have. And so let me say again, if you were in March Art Madness, I expect to see you in March Art Madness next year. I expect to see you in Summer of Manga. I expect to see you make a professional career of this stuff down the road, because to enter this competition, you have to truly, truly be strong enough to deal with the stuff that comes with having a career in artwork and in comics and manga. I have no doubt that people from Kalani Corbett to Dajima, to so many people, Ray to Bailey Boutel, are going to be master artists in the near future. People are lining up to see their work. I have no doubt of that. And the fact that we got to experience it firsthand in March Art Madness makes me infinitely proud. So thank you guys for taking the time out. Thank my artists for taking time out of their schedules to give fantastic advice and opinions in this tournament. I really appreciate it. And again, folks, if you want to support Saturday AM, please go to our website, www.saturday-am.com. And if you like what we're doing, if you check out some of the free comics, then subscribe. It's just $5. It's the price of a Happy Meal or a latte. And you guys can support independent manga creators who care about diversity and new voices in the world of manga and comics. But folks, we'll be here next week for round 4. So take care, and we hope to see you guys soon. Take it easy, everybody. Thanks again.